Happy Friday. Welcome to the show. I am Chris Gore from Film Threat. How are you doing today? So much to discuss on the show. We have a bunch of movie news that just caught my eye, caught my fancy, that I want to talk to you about. Additionally, we're going to be talking about Firestarter. Yes, the remake is here. It's in theaters. It's also on Peacock if you have Peacock. Also, an interview with the director of Sharkbait, Monstrous, and the filmmakers behind Mother Schmuckers. 3 filmmaker interviews today, and that'll be in an hour later in the show. Our first hour, we're going to be talking movie news and reviews and all that stuff. I hope you're doing well. It's been a rough week. We'll talk all about it. I'm going to talk to you in the chat and see everybody who's here, because I love talking to you on a Friday morning. I'm pre-coffee. I've not had my first sip of coffee yet, and you'll witness that momentarily as we get things started. Let's just go. That's right. I'm Chris Gore from Film Threat, and I'm happy to talk to you today. Let's get right to it. My colleague Alan Ng is here.
Hey,
he is the editor-in-chief of filmthreat.com, and we've got a lot to talk about. Real quick, let's get through some plugs before we talk to you in the chat. Our annual event, Award This, is a week from tomorrow, and there are still tickets available. You can pick up tickets to Award This. Go to awardthis.com. It's at the Frida Cinema in Santa Ana, California. If you can't make it, you will be able to see it on YouTube, but we would like to see you there live because this is an event. It's a fundraiser for the Frida Cinema, which is one of the only independent movie theaters left in the state of California, and we want to support them because they support independent filmmakers. So pick up a ticket to it's the only award show you can get a ticket to, and Alan's going to be there.
I will be there. I'll have my blazer on and ready to go.
I'm wearing a tuxedo, dude. I'm totally wearing a tuxedo.
I ain't wearing a tuxedo.
Yeah, no, I'm I'll at least wear a tuxedo jacket. Yeah. Let's just say that. And it's the ticket price includes our pre-party cocktails. Yeah, you get a drink ticket, the show itself, and a gift bag. There's like more than $50 of merch in this gift bag, which I'm very excited about. Full Moon Entertainment is sending us these free subscriptions to their streaming service, so you get like it's like a 1-month trial subscription. So there you go, and then plus you get like a Film Threat pint glass, which is something we actually don't sell. You can only get that at the awards. So there you go. I'm gonna get lemon watered up here. So there you go. Go to awardthis.com. I'm going to be plugging it. We still have tickets available, and we want you to be there. Also, support us and buy something. Go to shop.filmthreat.com. And if you want to contact us, whatever, just go to filmthreat.com/contact. There are more links in the description, so please check that out. And let's get right to it. Alan and I both saw. Oh, no. Wait, before we get to Firestarter, I actually want to see who's in the chat. And Absolutely. Yes, I will have bat cufflinks. Shelby AC. Ferg Turgeson says that's crazy. What part is crazy? So there you go. The Chicago Box. We're in with the plug. Chicago Box, one of our mods. Thank you to the mods. Got some mods. Award This is Film Threat's annual event at the Frida Cinema in Santa Ana, California on Saturday, May 21st. Join the party and get tickets at, well, then you can go to the link. Just go to the Award This link tree. And HVP says, Award This better than the Oscars.
Absolutely.
I tend to agree. Let's actually.
Will it be less violent than the Oscars? That's the question.
Well, we are going to have, there is a public service announcement that we're going to run I'm not kidding. We're going to run this at the beginning. But here, check out some promos for Award This. This will give you an idea of like kind of what the tone of the show is.
Oh, hey, Oscars, huh? Oscars can suck it. I don't even have a penis.
Oh my
What? Come on. That's our award. Our award is like this guy rolling up a film can.
The things you make Mark do. That's the thing. That's
yeah. Well, it's the actor is Mark Atkinson. He's like
Oh, hey, Independent Spirit Awards, huh? Hey, award this.
that was a promo from last year. Why did I? Okay, wait. I'm going to show one more. Just because we're having fun. We're hanging out. Here we go.
I think it's time we award the real independent filmmaker.
That's okay.
That was fast.
You'll get to look. If you go to the show, you're going to get to see all of that. And I think Mark's going to be there. The guy he does this. Oh my God. Well, you should watch the show from last year's. We did all these sort of like standalone little comedy bits. Then we did a montage, like kind of like what they do at the Oscars. We did a montage of every time someone wore a mask in a movie. And we just show, it's like 3 minutes of people just wearing masks in movies. So there you go. And Flaccid Phoenix says, can someone slap Chris Gore at this event like at the Oscars? The answer to that question is no. No, there's going to be no slapping at award this, but there's going to be a lot of drinking and a lot of merriment and fun. So there you go. Yeah, Solomon Thornton. Oh, I never thought of this. The golden condom. That's what he looks like. That's what Mark looks like. But look, I want to talk about there's a bunch of news that came up because we don't have a lot of new movies to talk about today. What am I going to do here? I want to share a Chrome tab with some movie news here. Did you see this? This is unbelievable. Norm Macdonald shot a secret comedy special to be released after he died.
Oh, wow.
And it's about to come out. So Norm Macdonald, obviously he was battling cancer. He lost that battle. He was weak. But what he did was he was planning to do a Netflix special. And so it was going to be filmed. So he was going to go through recovery and then he was going to shoot the special. Well, thinking he might not recover from his battle with cancer, he shot this in his living room. So the producers, and it's all one shot apparently. So it's about 1 hour and it's Norm Macdonald talking to camera, shot in his living room. And a lot of times comedians will do that anyways as kind of a way to rehearse. They'll do the whole show themselves solo as a way to you got a lot of stuff to remember, right? So this is pretty incredible news that oh shit, can you even hear me? Wait, damn it.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. I didn't look, we're still figuring
yeah.
It wouldn't
no,
be
you weren't muted at all. You were not muted at all.
It wouldn't be a Film Threat livecast without hearing us talk. But yeah, this is incredible. So that's pretty amazing news. That's on the positive news front. On the negative news front, let me share another story I saw that I was a little dismayed by, and I'm not sure how I feel about this. I am really not sure how I feel about this. Tell me what you think about this. There is a Spinal Tap sequel in the works. Okay, it was announced at Cannes. They're getting everybody back together. Rob Reiner's directing, Michael McKean, Christopher Guest, Harry Shearer. It's Spinal Tap. Do we want another Spinal Tap mockumentary? I mean, there are actually people. What's funny is there are people who actually think Spinal Tap is a real band. I think that's maybe fewer people these days. But Alan, what do you think about doing another Spinal Tap now? I mean, any different? Wait a sec. Is that any different than doing Top Gun Maverick, which is from the 80s? I mean, this is Spinal Tap is from the 80s. The mockumentary about the band Spinal Tap. Is that any different? But I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, they did the TV series or TV shows, some specials that I liked, and I always felt that those were good sequels. I love Spinal Tap. I've been a fan of them since, I have their press kit, the original press kit. My feeling about this is, I'm skeptical about it, but at the same time, just because you have Rob Reiner, Chris Guest, Michael McKean, Harry Shearer, if anyone can do it right, I think they can do it right.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. does the world need a great comedy? The answer to that is 100% yes.
Absolutely.
Is this that comedy? And then here's the thing to keep in mind. Rob Reiner is very, very far left, liberal, progressive. So is the politics like, what are the, is he going to comment on politics in this? My guess is probably yes.
Yeah.
My feeling is if you're going to make a comedy now, you make fun of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You make fun of the left, the right. You make fun of all sides of the spectrum. And if you're not doing that, to me, you're not doing justice to comedy itself. I love how the ads are kind of loading in on this variety page.
Let me say this about Rob Reiner. Yeah, he's a lefty, but I don't feel like he's ever really let it infect his movies and his work. It's there, but not in a slap in the face kind of way.
I don't know, man. I've seen him on Bill Maher's show, and I've seen him like in
interviews. The person, but the artist, I don't think does that. I can't really think of something he's done that was intentionally, some political message.
Well, all I can say is
humor about it.
The chat's on fire with better comments. The worst thing, Ferd Turgeson, I'd rather watch an asteroid hit. Civil Gore Tim says this movie won't go to 11. But no sequel to This Is Spinal Tap. Just leave it alone.
Yeah. I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's necessary.
Chicago Box, leave our 80s films alone. I think you'll disagree after you see Top Gun Maverick. I do believe you'll disagree. Lawrence Gillespie says Spinal Tap became a real band after the movie. Yeah, they did actually. Yeah. They did.
Well, the Folksmen who were in The Mighty Wind, they opened up for Spinal Tap.
Isn't that weird?
The movie came out.
I love that. Omar 94, Rob Reiner hasn't directed a good movie in decades. Flaccid Phoenix. This movie will be really cringe. Yikes, says Jack D. Ripper. Not interested, but the drummer died, so that's funny, says Gwen Stacy. Good to see you in the chat.
I think the music will, say a lot, whether you recapture the Spinal Tap spirit and how that plays in 2022.
Exactly. And more comments here. Christopher Guest's mockumentaries are so good. Mm-hmm. They should stick with the original stories. Yeah. Christopher Guest's, his mockumentaries are so good. The one about the dog, Best in Show, probably one of my absolute favorites. Fred Willard in that.
Is up there too.
What's that?
Waiting for Guffman is.
Waiting for Guffman. Yeah. I don't know why. I really like Best in Show. Love that movie. Wait a sec. Is this true? Jack D. Ripper, Mel Brooks is doing History of the World Part 2 series on Hulu. Okay, as a kid, I saw History of the World Part 1, and I was confused when they said, it's like Part 1. Well, so where's Part 2? The Part 2 was a joke. He was never going to make Part 2. Now he's actually making Part 2. Gwen Stacy says, all the member berries, nom, nom, nom.
Yeah.
And then Toasty Danny says, I member. Mike Diver says, can Streets of Fire 2 be far behind? I was going to say, Krull 2. Why don't they make Krull 2? No one remembers Krull. Does anyone remember Krull? Anyone?
I remember the video game.
Liam Neeson's in it. He plays the Cyclops. You can make Black Hole Part 2. Actually, you couldn't because many of the main actors have passed away. So, unfortunately. But yeah, Best in Show, all-timer, unquestionably, says Scud X. We have 93 people now watching. So, slap that like button. Slap it. I would just love for you to do that. And wait a sec. I got to find I have a video here.
Too many videos loaded up.
I got too many videos loaded in. But definitely slap that like button. And if you have not subscribed to the channel yet, please subscribe. We're on a journey to 100K. Oh, wow. It happens. It's not going to happen at Award This. That's all I'm going to say. That will not happen there. So there you go. But another thing I'm curious about, Alan, you saw the trailer for Avatar.
Yeah.
The Way of Water, Avatar 2. What are your thoughts on that? Is 3D going to make a comeback?
It'll make a comeback like Avatar gave it a comeback. It'll end with Avatar.
I actually think that Avatar is going to be a huge hit. I think it's going to be a huge hit. But do
Yeah.
people want to do people want 3D to come back? I'll say this, and I haven't shown this video before. I'm going to show it right now real quick. This is a charity that I was involved with that I was involved with right around when Avatar started the 3D movie trend. It's not as big a deal, but do you remember whenever you couldn't even see a movie without, like, you had no choice but to see 3D? Well, this organization was created to help, and we'll talk about it on the other end of this video.
Hello, I'm Chris Gore. As a lifelong moviegoer and film geek, I want to talk to you about something that's important to everyone who holds the cinematic experience so precious. Kids everywhere are totally missing out, but now you can help. For your contribution of just $25, one child will be able to see one 3D movie. Won't you give? Life isn't 3D. Shouldn't children be able to see movies in 3D? But 3D movies are expensive. I mean, I'm on TV or cable TV, and it's expensive even for me. I can't imagine what it's like for kids who have no jobs. Children come into this world with two eyes meant to see movies in 3D, not 2D. Please contribute. Go to 3dfor2eyedkids.com. Your contribution of $25 will help a child see a 3D movie. And thanks for listening.
Okay, that was a joke, but I did actually register 3dfor2eyedkids.com. So there you go. Goober says, I'm pretty sure that park has had a lot of undercover agents. Shelby.
Is that a G4 thing or
what's that? No, I did it just for fun.
Okay.
I literally did it like, I don't know. I just, because I was so annoyed by 3D movies and that everything was in 3D and that you couldn't see a movie. You didn't have the choice to not see a movie in 3D. Do you remember that? Like when you would get the early tickets and then like, wait a sec, I have to see it in 3D. Isn't there a non-3D show? And then they would it was just annoying. Shelby AC says, donate, won't you? Holy hand grenades. Hey, good to see you. Lap my ass off. Yeah. Would someone just think of the children? Yes, Toasty Danny. So, and Robadob 55, is Maverick really that good? You're about to enter the danger zone. Yes, it's that good. Last night. Yeah, there we go. I'll tell you. I have a slight Top Gun story. I want to get through some quick comments here before we switch to Firestarter. Chris, forcing kids to watch Spy Kids 3D. I wouldn't force them. Tron Legacy and Jackass 3 are my favorite 3D movies. There are good 3D movies that are kind of made for the experience. I will say Doctor Strange, I saw it a second time, which the movie did not improve. But the 3D was very good. I think it's because most of the movie is digital.
Yeah, I wound up seeing Doctor Strange after Top Gun in 3D.
And what do you think of the 3D?
I loved it.
The 3D is great. Yeah.
To me, 3D, if you forget you're watching a 3D movie, then why are you watching a 3D movie? Doctor Strange was not that movie.
Yeah, well, Turo reminds me, Chris said, not seen. Yeah, I mean, I don't recommend Doctor Strange. I think the more you think about it, the worse it is. And I don't like to sort of see the direction of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah. We talked about it. You're wrong, but
okay. Well, there you go. But in 3D, I thought that because I had already bought the tickets before I even knew I could get into an earlier screening. So I do that. Cameron Montijo says 3D is a cheap gimmick. Omar 94 3D. Hugo did 3D well. Yeah, there are good. Yeah, I think that I think that Avatar might be one of the best examples of good 3D. So Scud X says, I saw Guardians of the Galaxy 1 in 3D and it was surprisingly well enhanced. Yeah, I think it depends on the movie. And Goober says, Karen Vision and the Multiverse of Managers. That's your movie. That's your favorite movie, Alan.
The Scarlet Karen and the
Strugen says Avatar 2 is all about family, from the writer James Cameron, who killed off John Connor in the first minute of Dark Fate. I don't blame James Cameron for that. I feel like it's sort of like a rubber stamp of course I'm going to support the latest thing that has the name Terminator on it. I don't think has he ever disavowed any of the Terminator? I feel like they've been trying. Here's the thing. They made Terminator 1 and 2, and they're both great in different ways. They've been trying to make a good Terminator 3. There hasn't been a good Terminator like finale. Terminator, like they keep trying to make a decent version of Terminator 3 and just have been unsuccessful. Smell-O-Vision,
he makes a lot of money every time a Terminator movie comes out,
well,
whether he's involved in it or not.
Chicago box, Smell-O-Vision still waiting. Smell-O-Vision exists if you've seen the John Waters film Polyester, but also if you've ever seen a movie in 4D.
Yeah.
There
4D.
are, I saw Godzilla versus Kong in 4D. I saw The Meg in 4D, and there's like water effects, so it kind of sprays like a mist. So there you go. There are only 2 Terminator films, says Solomon Thornton. I would tend to agree, but let's get to our review of Firestarter. Firestarter, based on the Stephen King novel, which was a movie and now is another movie that is on, it's in theaters, but it's also on Peacock if you happen to have Peacock. So I don't have Peacock, by the way. I'm sure it's one of those things where, can you sign up and get Peacock with like ads for free?
Yes, you can. Yeah, you can. I actually saw it on Peacock. Yeah, it was Firestarter presented by Best Foods.
Oh, really? So, okay. Now I have to ask you a question.
Yeah.
So when you're watching Firestarter on Peacock, is it one of those things? Because I've watched a lot of movies on the free streaming services that are ad supported, and I don't have a problem with ads. I have a problem with seeing the same ad 20 times.
Yeah.
We're literally in the same break, and they even tell you sometimes what the break is. So they say 1 of 5, 4 minutes. So 4 minutes of ads. There's 5 of them. I'll get through it. But they'll run the same ad 5 times in a row. What was the ad experience like for Firestarter before we start to talk about the movie? Because I'm going to guess some of these ads were better than the movie.
Yeah, I'll just for Firestarter, it was just a quick ad up front for Best Foods, and then it was just the movie. So there were no ads during the movie.
Whoa! And do you pay for Peacock?
I do, because I was I'm a wrestling fan, and I got Peacock for wrestling. For WWE.
Okay, so then, all right, so you pay to get the wrestling. What?
Yeah.
How much is it? And you still have ads and you pay?
Yeah, because I'm not going to spend that much money, and honestly, the Peacock ads are less obnoxious than like TBS or TNT. So I'm okay with it. It's even less obnoxious than Hulu. So I'm fine with the way Peacock is doing it. Also, Peacock is putting out more independent films than any other streaming, but that's another issue. But yeah, I think I'm paying $10 for it. And honestly, that's what I was paying for WWE Network when it was a separate service at the time.
So you literally are just getting Peacock
for wrestling.
For wrestling?
For the monthly pay-per-views.
Wrestling, Firestarter, and G4 TV.
Yeah. Is G4 on it? I haven't seen it on
I think G4 is actually on it. I think G4 is on the network. But let's get into Firestarter. Yeah. Alan, what are your thoughts?
I just real quick, I thought it was okay. But 2 things. One is, I remember watching Stephen King movies, made for TV movies, and they always felt scarier, especially the conspiracy theories that those type of TV shows, they always felt scary to me. And then I remember watching Carrie as an adult and being very frightened of the ending of that. And I'm like, why? I just didn't get that feeling with Firestarter. Felt very much like, like an X-Men movie. And with the conspiracy of X-Men, but I felt so like I was watching the movie as opposed to being a part of the movie or feeling the feelings of the characters. And so I'm okay with the story. I just felt like it needed more. I'm supposed to, if you're watching a horror movie, you want to feel scared. You want to feel terrified. And I just didn't get that with this movie.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this. I was in a movie theater and I was surprised how many people were there actually.
Mhm.
it was nearly half full for a 5 o'clock showing. And I really, I was all in at the beginning, right? You kind of
Yeah.
see, Charlie as a baby, and, there's this experiment. They're injecting people who are then gaining powers. It felt very, what it felt like? It felt like a mutant movie, like an
Yeah,
X-Men.
that's what I'm saying. It felt like
And
X-Men. It's an X-Men story, essentially.
it's like an X-Men story, like in the early comics, in the first like 100 issues of the X-Men comics, they would do like an X-Men story, and then they'd have like the origin of Cyclops, which Cyclops, his origin was he was helping a jewel thief and a guy who had diamond hands.
Mhm.
His mutant ability was his hands were kind of like made of diamonds.
Yeah.
And Cyclops had these, and they figured out how to give him these glasses when he was a kid. They don't really, Cyclops has a kind of mundane origin story, but it felt like an X-Men origin story. Like
Yeah.
the first like third of the movie is like, this could have been, something right out of like of early Marvel X-Men. But then you see the baby has these powers and whatnot. The parents know about it. Zac Efron plays the dad.
Yeah. And they have powers themselves.
They have powers themselves. They're more mental abilities, being able to kind of like get into people's heads and whatnot. But the more that Zac Efron uses these abilities, the more it's kind of like it's kind of driving him mad, and he'll bleed from the eyes. But it's just, and I was all in until we got to a scene. There's two scenes that like ruined it for me. Early in the movie, there's this assassin that's after them now. This company wants to get Charlie because they want to use her. They've finally tracked her down because the parents have kept themselves in hiding. They don't have Wi-Fi. They don't have cell phones. They're very secretive. And she goes to school, and she knows she's kind of different because she can blow things up. She gets pissed off at a kid that's kind of bullying her. So she goes to the bathroom, and it basically explodes one of the stalls with a ball of flame. Most of the fire effects are CG, and in the original they were real. So you can see there's a mix of CG fire effects and real fire effects, but the CG fire effects, they really seem CG. There's just no way they're going to put, a 9-year-old kid in harm's way with fire, right? So like there's a scene where this assassin comes in, and he has abilities also. He's been activated to now track down the family and kidnap Charlie. And he goes and basically murders the mother by slitting her throat, and then hides her in a closet. And once they sort of discover the assassin, whatever, and there's like this standoff between the assassin, Zac Efron is the dad, and Charlie, and the mother just sort of falls out of the closet.
This is the first act of the movie.
This is the first act of the movie, so I won't get into too much in the second act because I won't spoil it unless you want me to, because I don't think you're going to care too much about this movie. But like the mom's death is just not really, that's her freaking mom. That's, that's Zac Efron's wife. Like I feel like there should have been more weight behind her death. And I'm sure there were a lot of character scenes that were cut, and whatnot because of that. And I couldn't believe that death of the mom was just taken in such a glib way. Like, okay, we got to go. Not like grab the mom's body. Like, could she be alive? They didn't even really check her. Like, you just see this sort of horrific image of her dead. Like, that's it. And then you just run away. And then just following that, this is never something you want to have happen, where there's a scene where Charlie is confronted by a little kitty. There's this cute little cat, and she kind of goes to pet it and says, "Oh, little kitty." And it like scratches her. She gets angry and bursts a flame right at the cat and toasts it. And the entire theater burst out laughing. I mean, one, I don't want to see animals harmed at all, even if it's fake CGI. And not only that, the crispy cat, this sort of crisped version of the cat that's like half burned, is still gurgling and alive. And that Zac Efron comes up sort of teaching her how to kill, right? Like, in order to protect yourself, you're going to have to kill things, like put it out of its misery. And she does. And it's like the audience is laughing at the movie. Look, I love to laugh at a movie. I love when an audience is moved to respond to something happening with light and sound, right? Like applaud, whatever, get excited. But to laugh at the movie, that's not the reaction you want.
Yeah. I will say the same thing about the conspiracy, the organization. I don't know. There's just nothing behind it. It's a lot of talk. There's an important scene with Kirkwood Smith, and it's just talk. And we're supposed to get some kind of emotion from that. And it's like, I don't know. As much as I like Gloria Rubin as an actress, I don't feel like she put a lot of weight behind the menacing aspect of the organization she represents.
Yes,
and I think the best thing I can say about this is a good thriller depends on a good hero depends on a good villain, and I don't think the villain was good enough in this, because at the end, there was a Carrie-like moment, and I just I was freaked out by Carrie. I was not freaked out by this one.
Yeah, it wasn't. It didn't have the weight. I mean, we've seen this before. We've seen it before because we've seen Firestarter, but it definitely felt kind of like, it felt like a throwback, very retro. But I haven't even gotten to the best part yet. And you watched it at home on Peacock, but I was in a theater when this happened. So then they do like this little mini funeral. They didn't even do a funeral for the mother, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So the dead cat that she's just killed, and this scene comes right following the mother dying scene.
Yeah.
They're sitting there over the dead cat and they bury it and whatever. And they have this sort of mini funeral. And Zac Efron's character, the dad, says, well, he or she, they. He actually uses the they pronoun, and the audience went groaned. Like, now is Firestarter? It's the one question we always get when we talk about movies. Is it woke? I don't think this movie's woke. I don't think it's woke. Did you?
I didn't think so. No, I mean it's true to the original. So
it's true to the original. I don't think it's woke. But the fact that at the cat funeral, Zac Efron as the dad is like, well, he, she, they. I don't think, do animals have pronouns now? I mean, I understand that other, people choose their pronouns.
Like our pets gender fluid.
Yeah. I'm
my
not
dog
among,
pansexual.
I'm not among that lot, and fine, they can do what they want.
Some animals are asexual,
but yeah, exactly. It's just like, I don't know. It was just like to see, and it's the only thing in the movie that is that. So it's not like it's overly like they're throwing that stuff in. But the fact that like they threw that in, what it does is it takes me out of the movie, because it reminds me, oh yeah, we're in the midst of all this sort of cultural, all this culture stuff happening that, like, when I'm reminded I see it in a movie, it's just sort of annoying. Or when I see it in a commercial, which is a lot of commercials these days, what it does is it just makes me tune out. So, I mean, it's a freaking cat.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one thing woke about it maybe is Gloria Rubin as kind of the mastermind of this. I mentioned that she doesn't give a lot of weight behind it to really give off the menacing aspect of it. But at the same time, at least she was a real villain. I mean, she was a female villain, which I would submit that Wanda is a female villain, and female villains are not something we've seen a lot in the last few years. I think there's a woke fear of turning women evil, and not giving them some kind of a turnaround at the end. But at least they kept her the villain throughout the whole film.
Well, let's get to the comments and questions here, because we'll respond. Better question, Toasty Danny. Is it better or worse than the original, Alan?
I have not seen the original, but after seeing Firestarter, they started playing a scene from the original movie, and I think from what I saw of the original movie, I think this one's better.
Yeah, can I just say this? The original wasn't that great either. I think someone even makes that. The original wasn't that great. This wasn't great. I would say your mileage may vary. So I would say it's a draw. But if you are going to remake, like Firestarter, like wasn't that great to begin with. So to remake it, it's like, well, this is an opportunity to improve it or expand the concept.
Yeah. And
I don't think the movie did that very well.
Let me ask you, did the parents have powers in the first one?
Oh my God. I saw it when I worked at a video store, and I don't even remember that much about it.
Yeah, because from what I saw of the clip, it didn't look like the parents had powers, which I thought was an interesting dynamic in this movie.
Yeah, or maybe it was implied. I don't know. Also, if it's on Peacock, why was the old guy plugging Netflix all the time? Yeah, that's funny. That must have been, maybe they didn't know it was going to end up on Peacock. Maybe
Yeah.
it was originally planned that it
Well,
was going
it's
to be
a
on Netflix.
Universal picture. They knew it was going to.
Oh, that's right. Well, it's Universal's. Look, just because the logo is at the beginning doesn't mean when it started. Well, no, wait, it's Blumhouse.
No. It's
What
a
am I saying?
Blumhouse.
Sorry,
It's
it's
So there's a
Blumhouse.
standing agreement with
Yeah,
Universal.
it's a Blumhouse movie, and Blumhouse is a subsidiary of Universal or has a deal with them.
Yeah, they have a deal with
Chicago Box. Horror films are having a hard time being scary these days. Real world is scary enough already. So
that's probably true.
Lawrence Gillespie, weird remaking a movie that wasn't even that great. Yes, I referenced your Lawrence Gillespie. They pronoun audience grown, says Akanika.
Yeah.
Flaccid Phoenix. Wow, Chris, get with it. It's current year. Animals can be trans now. Can they?
Well, my cat acts like a dog, so maybe.
I've read stupider things from so-called legitimate news outlets. I've read stupider things, so I'm not surprised. Chicago Box. I remember the original having great effects for the time. Mostly practical.
It was all practical.
Yeah, Flaccid Phoenix, based dad. And then I was talking about the crispy cat scene. Trinoculus Pete. Maybe that scene was for China.
Yeah, no comment.
Any comment, Alan?
Oh, yeah. If you haven't tried it, then you can't really criticize it.
MK Ultra 3, because the fire is CG, real fire is disturbing. Yeah. Scud X, really thrilling to watch the inevitable evolution of flailing streaming services transforming into cable TV circa 1990. Yeah, there you go. I agree. Solomon Thornton, hell yeah, Alan is a wrestling fan. Love you even more fan. All right.
Yeah, you talked a little bit about it, but wrestling. There's some incredible storytelling coming out of wrestling.
I got in a huge conversation with a guy at the screening of Top Gun Maverick, talking about how a lot of people who you can tell if someone is kind of a elitist snob, they don't like wrestling because they don't understand it's a story. It's fake, just like Marvel movies. It's fake in one sense. It's fake in the sense that the story is manufactured, right? But the wrestling, people get hurt and they're doing those things. It doesn't surprise me that so many people have actually, gone from being wrestlers to acting in movies. Should not surprise you. Yeah. Gwen Stacy, that's right, Alan. Only reason I have Peacock, ECW. Toxic Waltz N8, I got Peacock for a month to watch the Super Bowl, and MacGruber then didn't renew. Toasty Danny, I pay $5, but I have to watch ads during the movie. It's probably not a bad trade-off, actually.
Yeah, I don't think from my experience, I don't think they play ads during the movie.
Okay, but you pay $10 a month. You pay $10 a month. Toasty Danny pays $5.
Oh, okay.
Robodob 55 says King is always a mixed bag for me. That's true. King in translation to movies is a mixed bag.
I think his writing, he adds a lot in the writing that is hard to kind of convey in a movie without extending the movie to 4 hours.
Exactly. King is always a mixed bag for me. He has his masterpieces, but he definitely subscribes to quantity over quality.
Yeah. I mean, his novels are long for a reason.
Pave Low John, if they could just get rid of those shitty Liberty Mutual ads, effing drives me crazy how many they have on YouTube. And then Chicago Box, I was getting $10 to death. Yeah, I'm selective about streaming services now, and I share them with a couple of people. So I pay, and then they have accounts on mine, and vice versa. So there's only a few that I pay for, and then I get a bunch of other ones. And then random question here to kind of wrap up. Hey, Chris, will that G4 doc be available as physical media? Yes, this fall there will be a Blu-ray release, or probably around December. So if you were a backer to the Kickstarter, you'll get it early. We're doing a limited edition Blu-ray that we're just doing like one run, and that's it. We're going to sell those Blu-rays, and then that's it. At some point next year, in 2023, I'm sure it'll be on a streaming service, and it will be on video on demand in the fall also. So video on demand, Blu-ray, first dibs to Kickstarter backers, and there will be limited availability for people to purchase that. Speaking of that,
did you want to play it?
Speaking of that, Alan texts me, hey, you got a shout out on G4. And I was like, wait, really? What? So
Yeah, it was during their Fresh Ink show with Cassim and some other people who I don't know.
Really?
And they're talking about Doctor Strange in the movie, and they talked about the screening they went to, which you happened to be at. And I think that's
all right. Well, let's just show this because
Yeah.
it's hard for me to do a stream without that subject coming up. But this is the first time. And by the way, I know people have kind of tried to mention me like in the chat. And I know sometimes in the chat comments, if someone brings up my documentary Attack of the Doc or my name, those comments will get deleted. I don't know if that's true. That was like in the early days.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe they changed, but I'm really surprised. I did run into Cassim and I just said, hey, he goes, and then he says to me something like, hey, I didn't know if I should say hi to you. And I'm like, why not? How's it going? It's like, you're the guy with the second best. I said, you're the guy with the second best hair on G4. And I was just goofing with him. Like, hey, you know what? I always say I love people. I love hanging out with people and whatever. I have no beef with anyone at the new G4. Nobody at all. But let's see what the shout. Alan captured this, so let's check it out real quick.
In the theater, and there's a lot of journalists and all that kind of stuff in our screening.
Shout out Chris Gore, by the way. We saw Chris Gore there. Chris, if you're watching, it was a pleasure to see your white hair.
And Dan Casey.
Dan Casey from Nerdist.
Yeah.
It's all one of my nurse buddies over there.
It's silver hair. Just to correct Cassim for a minute, silver hair. No, but that's cool. It was good. Look, I feel like it's like Star Trek: The Next Generation. There was Star Trek: The Original Series, Star Trek: The Next Generation. It's weird to make that kind of comparison to G4. There's the old G4, the new G4, and I feel like, the thing that people forget about the original G4, it wasn't great at the beginning. Mm-hmm. It was not great. Like, it had to find its sea legs.
It was still like Tech TV in a way, but
there was the Tech TV merger, which was like 2004, Tech TV G4 merger, and then that happened, and people from Tech TV in the Bay Area moved down. Some of them, not everybody. Mm-hmm. They did the new Screensavers. Then Screensavers became Attack of the Show. This is all in the documentary.
Yeah. But we forget it was Sarah Lane and Kevin Rose at the very beginning.
That's right. Right. So there you go. But it wasn't great at the beginning. G4 was not great. It took until I started there in March of 2005, and it really took until 2007. When 2007 rolled around, after doing it for 2 years, Attack of the Show and G4, that kind of came into its own. It was good. So there you go. Still waiting for Attack of the Doc. Dude, how many times do I have to say this? I just have a banner that says, it's coming out this fall. Attack of the Doc is screening in July at San Diego Comic-Con. If you're there, we're getting a theater. We're doing a one-time screening. There's going to be screenings in the fall. If you're around, there's going to be some film festivals and conventions. And then the movie is going to come out digital, and it's going to come out on Blu-ray in like December. And then digital, it'll come out before that. You're going to be able to get it. Yes, keep waiting. And that'll be the last time I answer a question like that, because because I don't want to bore the audience.
Yeah. It's not going to change.
Yeah.
It's not going to change.
Micah Henry, Chris does look like Quicksilver from the comics right now. That's right. If you find, I could make my hair look a little Quicksilvery. Yeah. There you go. Yeah, definitely Quicksilver. The old school Quicksilver that had like the white gloves and like the sort of light blue with the lightning bolt.
Like WandaVision.
What's weird is those costumes look really good in the comics, but then you try to translate them to real life. And I do like the way that the MCU has attempted to like make them practical. Captain America's costume probably among the best, if you ask me.
Yeah. What are the early ones or the
No, Captain America, the First Avenger. They explained the story of his costume. It was like this Broadway show. Mm-hmm. Then he like had a practical version of it, and I don't know. I love that. So there you go.
Do you remember how they brought McCoy in on The Next Generation? I mean, G4 should do that with you.
Yeah, they could. They could have me hobbling with a walker.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then Shane Mackey asked, whatever happened to Olivia Munn? She's a mom. She's Olivia Mom is what she is. Yeah, that's no, she's with John Mulaney, right?
Yeah.
It's weird because John Mulaney, like, he did SNL and he references being a dad, and not once does he ever mention Olivia Munn. Like, and also, by the way, I don't care about celebrity gossip. Like, it just doesn't interest me. I feel like I don't want to know. Like, I want to see celebrities in the movies. That's all I want to do. I want to see them in the movies, and then I want to forget. I just want to know that Captain Pete Mitchell is Maverick. That's all I want to know. I don't need to know much about Tom Cruise's personal life. Don't care. So I miss those days. And Tom Cruise, we had this whole discussion after Firestarter, because we didn't really discuss it for that long. We had this whole discussion of like, who's a movie star anymore? And the only person we could really say is a movie star is like Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise, yeah.
Can you think of anybody else?
Yeah, people who will draw a large box office. I mean, you don't get Tom Cruise, I would say, would even eclipse Brad Pitt by a mile.
Well, and Akanika says, sorry, but for me, the G4 panel is a waste of time. Film Threat is my go-to. Well, to each his own. That's fine. I and someone's responding to Shane Mackey. She did a terrible Predator. We talked about Terminator earlier. When I finish this first cup of coffee, my brain will kick in. I'm still booting up my hard drive in my head. Shane Mackey, she did a terrible Predator movie.
I barely remember her in that.
Yeah. Still love that Quicksilver scene from the X-Men. That was good representation. Yeah. Love that. I love the way that they did the effects for that. Yeah. The Rock. The Rock. I would say The Rock is definitely a star.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think? Is he a movie star?
Absolutely. The Rock is probably one of the more modern ones,
And the Seventh Cynic, someone with very good taste in the chat. Hey, Chris, big fan of my big fat independent movie. Still own it on DVD. That's rare. You can get it on Amazon used. You can find copies. I actually have to buy used copies of my own movie. I'm actually in the midst of trying. No, I'm serious. I'm actually trying to get it released on digital with like extra new stuff. Omar 94. Tom Hanks is a star.
Is he a box office draw though? That's
I don't know. In that Elvis movie, he puts on a fat suit.
Yeah, I'm intrigued. That's not something you'd typically see him do.
Silver Ogre says booting up your hard drive should not involve steel toe caps. Yeah, there you go. VDR says release it on Laserdisc. Hey, VDR, what's up? Yeah, The Rock, Alec Baldwin. Thoughts on Alec Baldwin? Alan, go.
Oh, really? It's just sad. It's just sad that the fact that it happened and then the aftermath of it is just so disappointing. Someone died, and it's about Alec Baldwin.
Yeah, I don't know. So,
and we know people who know that person. That's the other thing.
Michael Seagrave says Tom Hanks is more regarded as an excellent actor as opposed to being a star.
He's not a box office draw.
I don't think he's well, when I saw him in that Elvis trailer, yikes. It's Tom Hanks Tom Hanks, you're doing a fat suit. Really? Has he not done everything by now?
Couldn't he gain the weight?
Yeah. Chicago Box says Hanks is suspect these days. Yeah. I don't immediately go to anything.
Did you see that interview with his son Chet?
Yes, I thought that was great.
Oh yeah.
That was great.
Is
he a rapper or something? He's a rapper.
That's the joke, but yeah.
Tell us the story. And
he I guess he got caught up in some kind of cultural appropriation. He's a rapper, and so I guess he's getting criticized for cultural appropriation. He appeared on someone's YouTube channel, and the questioner asked him, do you want to apologize to marginalized communities for cultural appropriation? And he basically says no. And he says, so what you're saying is you're just telling social justice warriors to kick rocks. And he goes, yeah, I'm telling social justice warriors to kick rocks. And that was the interview.
Yeah. Hey, VDR, correct. The Elvis movie looks great, except for Tom Hanks. The accent was ridiculous, right? The accent is ridiculous. The fat suit is ridiculous because we already know it's Tom Hanks. He'd been better off just being a version of him and but they make him so heavy. It's like, okay, yes, I know that's more accurately represents the original, the person that Tom Hanks is the person that's based on, but the real life person, but it looks like a comedy. It looks lame. Yeah, like
Well,
as soon as I saw that,
the kid who plays Elvis looks so emaciated.
Well, no, he looks really good. He looks really good. I mean, he's definitely he's got the Elvis drawl. You know, he looks.
Yeah, but is he gonna fatten up at the end of the movie, or I don't know.
Yeah. Akanika says if people like Alec Baldwin drop the politics, they might have staff on set who understands and appreciate guns. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's sorry to say that, but yeah, that's the thing about Alec Baldwin is sort of like kind of insufferable on social media, like going after people. That's the one thing, you know, Tom Cruise, his social media is even on. I think he is on social media.
I doubt it.
I thought he was on social media.
I could check real fast, but I doubt he's there.
Yeah. Ken Bogus, true story, met Tom Hanks' daughter when I was around 19. Maybe should have met Chet instead. Oh no. There you go. So
okay, he does have a social
Twitter.
media.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has a Twitter. It's all Top Gun right now.
Well, it's all my recollection of everything Tom Cruise is that it's all on social media, at least. It's just all like positivity. And he did a whole thing about that, you know, that soap opera effect.
Mm-hmm.
He did a video like, please get rid of the soap opera effect on new TVs. You know, when you buy a new television, the default setting is like that soap opera effect.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah.
Okay, so looking at his channel, it's all promotion for Top Gun, but I found
nothing wrong with that.
Okay, I found this interesting one. April 2nd, 2020. I know many of you have waited 34 years. Unfortunately, it'll be a little bit longer. Top Gun will fly this December 2020. And then it'll be 2 years later.
Well, there you go. There you go. Yeah, man, I don't know. I always I'd rather not know the political views of celebrities. I just don't want to know them. I think that it's, you know, I don't know.
They're getting pressure. You know, it's you have this platform. It's your duty to, you know, and then insert woke message here.
And here you go. We're just going to go through the chat. We have a guest that's going to be here at the top of the hour at 10 a.m. The director of Monstrous, starring Christina Ricci, which is kind of a retro monster movie set in the 1950s. We're gonna be talking to the director of that film momentarily at the top of the hour in 7 minutes.
You know what? I think we should mention it, but Fred Ward just passed away.
Oh wow, you're kidding!
No.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I think they just announced it this morning, and I saw it in the chat here and there. So thanks, chat, for that. But yeah, Remo Williams has passed.
Wow, Fred Ward. All right, rest in peace, or as they say now, rest in power. I don't like rest in power. I think rest in peace. I'm old school. I'm old school on all this stuff. Starlaw, Firestarter 1985 nominee, Saturn Award Best Horror Film and Best Performance by Younger Actor, Drew Barrymore. Yeah, I would definitely, I don't know about Best Horror Film, but Best Young Actor, yeah, Drew Barrymore. Mm-hmm. Let's give it up. So yeah, F for Fred. F for Fred. Type in F for Fred in the chat. R.I.P. There you go. And love Christina Ricci, really underrated. Where we're going to talk to the director, and the director's name, I'm going to have to learn to pronounce it right before it comes on. Chris Sivertson. Sivertson. Oh my God. I better get that right. That's at 10 a.m. today. We're going to be talking to Chris, and we're going to show a scene from the movie, actually. To kind of what I want to try to look at all these F's. The whole chat is filled with F's. F for another great character actor lost, says Scud X. Yeah.
Oh, so Tom Hanks might have diabetes, which is why he didn't gain weight. But
what? Is that true?
I have no idea. But, you know, I get it. I wouldn't want to gain that amount of weight either.
This is actually a good... Goober has a good description. Firestarter was a Walmart Scanners. Scanners, you know, the David Cronenberg movie. Love that movie. It's shocking.
I mean, would you agree? Were the made for TV movies of Stephen King's stuff more scarier than the movies that had come out?
I think it's. Here's why I'll say that's true. They're scarier because you saw them when you were a kid and you saw them at home, and they scared the crap out of you. And you weren't competing with a million different things. So those original, like Stephen King made for TV movies, your expectation was probably lower because you weren't seeing it in a theater, and you probably saw them when you were younger.
Yeah.
So,
like I remember the golden years. For some reason, the conspiracy organization behind that one just really felt real to me at that time.
Yeah. Strugen says Top Gun is not my thing, but I'm glad for the fans that it's not woke. Wish there was more of it. Yeah, it really feels like that movie was it was kind of made in a vacuum. It was like made in a it was sort of, it's almost like they went back in time, made that movie, and just like released it now. There is like not one woke thing in that. It's inspiring, and it's also a human story. It's not just about the flash and spectacle. Certainly it has spectacle, but it's balanced by a very human story.
Yeah. I mean, if it was truly woke, there would have been an Asian in the movie.
Yeah. Well, thankfully there isn't. Thankfully there isn't, but there is influence, because what they do, did they digitally get rid of patches off of?
No, they probably just got rid of it because, I mean, F China.
His jacket had like a Taiwan patch originally, or is that's in the original, but not in the new one?
So.
Okay.
Yeah,
Chicago Box has a comment here. Remo Williams is another 80s great. I would agree.
Yeah.
Solomon Thornton loved Scanners. Shout out to Michael Ironside, says Michael Seagriff. Yeah. And then time to watch. Someone says time to watch Tremors. I missed it. I'm sorry. The chat is going too fast for me. Apologies. But here we go. Yes. Tom Hanks has diabetes. Tom Cruise made an ad with director Christopher McQuarrie about turning motion smoothness off on your TVs when watching Mission Impossible Fallout, and DiCaprio is a bigger star than Pitt. Yeah. Like there exist movie stars today, but I think the way that you designate a movie star is they're not on social media. We don't know what their personal views are about things. And I happen to think that that's a good thing. So we're going to wrap up our chat comments here. Alan, if you could go through the chat, sure. I'm going to set us up for our interview here as we get ready to talk to the director of Monstrous, who's joining us on the podcast today. I'm very excited for that. Let's get started. I don't know this director, so I really feel terrible. And Chris Sivertson is gonna make me correct the pronunciation of his name. My apologies. Chris, welcome to the Film Threat podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today. So happy to have you with us. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. It's cool because your film festival guide was like my Bible back in the days of my first movie. I totally wore it out, had like notes written all over it. So it's cool to connect with you.
Oh man, well, thank you for that. All right, now I'm like really embarrassed, and I but thank you. Yes, no, I doesn't tell you anything about making movies, but how to take your movie on the festival circuit. So I appreciate that it helped you out. Now, how do I pronounce your name correctly? And my apologies, I should have gotten that before.
Oh yeah, no one gets it right. It's Sivertson.
Sivertson.
Yes.
It should be obvious.
Yeah, the SI is C in the Nordic languages. Also, SY is C, like Max von Sydow.
Oh, I love Max von Sydow.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, but first of all, thank you for joining us on the Film Threat podcast today. Your movie is out today in theaters. Is that right? In limited release?
Yeah.
And is it video on demand also?
Yeah, it's a day and date release from Screen Media. So I think we're just in 10 cities.
Awesome.
I don't even know which ones other than LA and New York.
Well, Chris, what led to this place? You said you used my festival guide. So obviously you had a smaller indie movie that you took on the festival circuit. Your journey to get here to make a movie with Christina Ricci. And I have to say, she is stunning in this movie. I like, she looks amazing in this film. And it's also kind of a retro horror film in the sense that, it's set in the 50s. What led you to this place in terms of getting this project done? And Alan, my colleague Alan Ing and I, who's the editor-in-chief of filmthreat.com, will be asking you questions, and we're going to take questions from the chat. So chat, your best questions, we're going to ask Chris. But tell us what led you to getting to make this movie.
Yeah, well, so like I said, my first movie was called The Lost. That's, when I was diving into your guide, that, we premiered that at South by Southwest back in 2006. And so since then, I've been working, having various ups and downs, making indie movies, I agree. Christina is just so amazing in the movie. And this was a script, because I write a lot. And most of the stuff that I direct, I usually at least have some hand in writing. And this was a script that just came to me that was looking for a director, and Christina was already attached, which was amazing. And then I read the script, and I really, I thought it was a great story. I really clicked with it and just saw how my sensibility could work with it. So then I just had to get the job, which is, I'm terrible at pitching myself. So I kind of just figured out some semi-articulate things to say, and just really kept at it, and eventually got it. And it was one of those scripts that had been around for a while, and it almost got made with other directors here and there. There's so many projects like that just take forever to get made. But once I got on board, we just kind of went full steam ahead and made it. And it was kind of in the height of COVID, which introduced a bunch of problems. But yeah, we got through it, and it was a total dream to work with Christina. Like you said, she looks amazing in it. She's like a true movie star in addition to being like a real actress, and there's not many people like that. And she just really in the 50s era, just everything just kind of popped when we had her in our sets that we worked really hard to put together and everything in this period piece. So that's kind of how it came together.
And it's one of those tonally a slow burn at the beginning to this stuff happening with Christina Ricci's son, who's having issues at school and has I don't want to ruin too much, but to me, one of the most horrific scenes, which is having a birthday party and nobody shows up.
Yeah,
and I know as weird as that sounds, it's just that happened to a friend of mine. And it's that's a scar for life, right?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Having a kid's birthday party, no one shows up, horrifying. But what I love is it's this small cast. It's this, what is going on? I want to show a scene from the movie. The movie. Would you mind if we watched it real quick?
Yeah, cool.
I think we can bring it up on screen here. Let's watch the scene from Monstrous, and then we'll talk about it on the back end.
Cool.
Whoa. So, first of all, you're getting a lot of love in the chat. We're going to get to the chat questions and comments. So get your questions ready for Chris right now. But you said Christina Ricci was already attached to the project when you came on board. When you met her, what was it like meeting her? She definitely has an aura about her. Tell me what that was like and what your working relationship was like with her on the set and whatnot.
It was great because she's just a really just a good person, and she's really funny. She has a really good sense of humor, and doesn't tends not to take anything too seriously, which I really relate to. The first time, I was kind of nervous, first meeting her, and like I said, because normally in day to day, what I do is write, so I get very in my own head, and then when I direct a movie, I have to kind of come out of that and use a different part of my personality and brain. So I was kind of nervous when I was first talking to her, and I think I was talking about the script like in intellectual terms, and she kind of made fun of what I was saying, and I thought it was hilarious. And then after that, we were just like instant friends, because my friends are always making fun of me. And I feel like that's a big part of how friends relate, is just through humor. So it was really great, and she's just like just has such skills, and it was anything I wanted, like any kind of like little adjustments. She was just like really interested in exploring, and yeah, I mean, she's worked with like so many great filmmakers, and has been working. She's also, since she's been doing it, since she was 10 years old, every day, pretty much. Like, she has more experience than anyone on set. But is very humble and just very sweet to everyone. So everyone kind of like had to like, once we had her, it's everyone like has to like step up their game, because we were a small movie and we had to create these sets and these costumes and this look for the movie. That was like worthy, to like give her like a stage that was worthy of her to perform on, if that makes sense.
Well, it's also a good mix of like her acting against the effects. It's a good mix of like, obviously practical effects. There's practical effects, but with digital enhancement in places, and that seemed to really serve the movie well. We've got a lot of love, if you want some love, in the chat and questions. So if you don't mind me going through the chat questions here from our audience that's watching live.
Okay.
We'll go through. I don't know if you can see it. Flaccid Phoenix says, Chris Sivertson greater than Chris Gore. Okay, that's fine. Chris is a fine name, says Lawrence Gillespie. VDR says, Wednesday Addams grew up. Ken Bogus. Christina Ricci is always stunning. Solomon Thornton says, love Christina Ricci and the Addams family. What is your inspiration? So what are your inspirations? And people are going to be asking that in here.
Well, for this, the inspirations for this film in particular, as opposed to kind of being inspired by other movies, it was a lot of what I looked at was like a lot of 50s advertising, both like print ads, commercials, radio ads, catalogs, all that kind of stuff, because it was kind of like that decade was kind of like the birth of like modern advertising, and like the way that advertising would try to present people with like an idealized way that they should live. Like, you need to wear this, you need to drive this, you need these things in your kitchen. And there's like kind of we even got to use an original like Hot Point commercial in the movie. They made like refrigerators and dishwashers and stuff. And it almost becomes like this haunting mantra in the character's head. The way that, we're haunted by commercials all the time. So really, yeah, the inspiration on this one was, and also a lot of old 50s photography. I have a ton of like filmmaking influences. Like I watch, they're all often like in conflict with each other. Like I have so many filmmakers who I love that are wildly different. So I'm not sure. Whoops, this fell out. My AirPods always fall out. I don't know why other people don't have that problem, but I do. But yeah, so advertising was a big one, like which makes, like why, like that stuff that like Mad Men was tapping into, that birth of like, American advertising in the modern age.
Yeah, I love that stuff. And I love that the film like really sort of did the world building with like, this is the 50s. There's no Wi-Fi, no cell phones. There are some devices, right? Television, but it almost felt like there was one shot and I felt like she seems trapped with all this stuff. It had like a really good tone even before the monstrous stuff starts to happen. But we've also got some great questions here. Comments. Courage77. I love Christina Ricci. She's a good actress. And then Robadob55. What are your monster movie inspirations that really drove your vision for the film?
Well, one thing that I was super lucky to do in this was we actually got to create, at one point she's watching a monster movie on TV. So we actually got to create our own monster movie, which of course, to me, the inspiration there is Creature from the Black Lagoon. But I shot way more than we needed. It's a pretty brief sequence where she's kind of falling asleep watching TV and there's this kind of old school creature feature on, and then she becomes a part of it. And I shot tons of stuff for this. It was like, it was a very like surreal experience to be shooting like with this old fashioned like monster in a suit, and Christina is in this like cool bathing suit, and it was kind of dusk, and it was like it felt very surreal. But I realized that like I would have been like totally happy making B movies in the 50s, because it was just so fun. It was, and it kind of perked up the whole crew too. It was like at the end, towards the end of a really long day. Everything that happens at that lake was all one day, and the last part of the day was when we got to do the monster stuff, the old school monster stuff. But yeah, so definitely Creature from the Black Lagoon, is just so beautiful. Like there's that shot in that movie where the classic one where the creature is swimming underneath the woman who's swimming at the top, and he's kind of shadowing her. And it's just really beautiful. And also, kind of like a love story, like the King Kong, Beauty and the Beast kind of thing going on there too.
Yeah, it has that aspect. I mean, Creature from the Black Lagoon might be one of my favorite 1950s like B monster movies, because the monster is so convincing. I mean, that whole costume, I mean, it's basically a scuba suit, but it's such a great, and it's a trilogy. And I believe that actress is Julia Adams, and she's wearing this one-piece bathing suit that's stunning. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, those old bathing suits are so cool.
Yeah,
and that's right. I it's been a long time since I've seen the sequels.
Yeah,
but
it was
a
trilogy.
Think the same director. Yeah, I think the same director did at least the second one too.
And the first movie is like 60 minutes. It's not like a long movie. More questions from our chat here. Bashy Washy says, "Thanks, Chris, for this. My question is, as a director of a movie, what do you think is the best way for us fans to support your project to be free from the Hollywood influence?" A lot of the conversation around here, and almost everything that Alan and I review, a lot of people ask, well, is the movie kind of woke? Is it forcing some kind of agenda? I mean, I can just say, having seen Monstrous, there is zero anything like that. Like it is a straight up, haunting monster movie with deeper layers to it, so to speak, no pun intended. But and it's also a retro film. It's set in the 50s. There's nothing like that. But look, the way you can support it is see the movie. It's on video on demand today. It's in theaters and limited release. Go see Monstrous and support it. But do you have any comments on that, Chris? Like, as a director, like I mean, I think it was Quentin Tarantino who said, someone asked him, like, what's your favorite era to make movies in? You make movies in different time periods. And Quentin Tarantino said, any time before cell phones. He just likes movies kind of set in a different era. Do you have any thoughts or comments on that?
Well, this was actually my first period piece, and I love doing it because, for one thing, just like from a practical level, it really forced everyone to work, harder. Everything in the frame has to be there for a reason. Every location has to, we have to take all this into account to create this period piece, and it's fun to step outside of modern day and just look at, because we can get so caught up in whatever people are debating about or arguing about in modern day. But if you kind of step outside of that a little bit and just try to find like universal themes, like this movie deals with a lot of universal themes that I think are pretty easy to relate to, like the parent-child relationship, loss, even just simple things like you said, like I'm glad you connected with the empathizing with this kid when no one shows up to his birthday, and at one point Laura's reading a magazine that's like, and the title of the article is called "How to Fit Into Any Occasion," and it's like she's trying to like fit into the society. So I'm really just kind of more interested in kind of dealing with like universal themes. I feel like this movie is like I would describe it as like kind of like an emotional like fairy tale. Like as opposed to like it's not, and the way we tried to work on it was like not intellectualizing things and just trying to keep things like very simple and elemental. So yeah, hopefully that worked. But like I said, I like just little things like like that kid alone, nobody shows up for his birthday party, like that like just breaks my heart. And because I don't know, everyone and plus with being online with everyone is like, I think secretly pretty sensitive. Online people try to like act like tough, but I think, we're all affected by what everybody says to us, whether we want to be or not. So yeah, so it was. I definitely kind of liked stepping outside of the modern day and making something, in the past.
Well, we've got more comments here. People commenting on the clip that we just saw. Not the Batman says her living room has a pool. Not fair. Used web cartridge says that was pretty sick. Evolution of Gaming says that was pretty cool. Akanika says great clip. And then Josiah Teal has a question. Were there any Christina Ricci performances that made you extra excited to work with her? Any film, scenes from other movies that made you, oh my God, I get to work with Christina Ricci?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of them. I mean, Sleepy Hollow is a favorite of mine. That's just such a gorgeous, like sumptuous period piece. And Pecker, the John Waters movie from the 90s with her and Eddie Furlong. I really love that. And Black Snake Moan, I think is incredible. Her and Sam Jackson, where he's trying to like tame her sexual demons. Like that movie's incredible. I don't think it would really get made now, probably. But it's just a gorgeous movie. And Buffalo 66. Yeah, there's so many, and obviously Addams Family. But yeah, just like all of those, because I'm just such a fan of those movies. So like, and then getting to meet her and work with her, it was just like a total dream.
More comments and questions here. Michael Seager says, Julia Adams, Mother of God. Yes, Julia Adams from Creature from the Black Lagoon. And then Mike Diver, 50s War of the Worlds might be the best sci-fi movie ever made. I love that era of filmmaking in the 50s. I mean, so many great science. I mean, it's really, you look at it now and it's obviously it's dated and whatnot, but you really see the influences from back then to science fiction today. Flaccid Phoenix asked, what scene was the most fun to shoot? I mean, there's underwater stuff. There's, there's monster stuff. What was the most fun?
I think the most fun overall was that monster movie within the monster movie that I was talking about. Mm-hmm. Because when you have someone just sitting there in a suit that kind of looks ridiculous, it's kind of helps. It's just, fun. You don't take yourself too seriously. A lot of the movie, I was like very stressed out, because we're short on time, like all filmmakers are. So a lot of it was very stressful. The pool was really cool. Shooting underwater is almost kind of like cheating because everything you do looks just gorgeous. If you just shoot slow motion underwater and with the bubbles and what people's hair does, and like you can shoot shafts of light down there. It just looks really, really gorgeous. And when I read the clip that you showed, when I read that scene in the script, I assumed that this was going to be a big budget movie because she like falls through the floor. The only way I could do it was, through a cut, obviously just cutting to her falling into a pool. But we just shot that was just all shot in a crew member's pool that happened to have a weird, like there was a shallow end and then a deep end with like a big, like a extreme drop off. So we were able to shoot from the shallow end into the deep end, and it looked like this huge abyss. But overall, the monster stuff was, just so fun to shoot.
Akanika asks, who was on the costume design team? And I have to give you props for Christina Ricci's look through the whole thing is definitely feels like a Mad Men with the big poofy dress. Like, she really like sells it. Like she just looks perfect. Yeah. But can you talk about the costume design?
Yeah, the costume design is a really talented designer who I've worked with before, Morgan DeGroff, and she made most of that stuff by hand. Her budget was tiny, so she found they used to sell in the 50s these dress form packets that were like little packets, kind of like the size of a comic book, and you open it up and it's just like little pieces of paper that like you cut the fabric out to. So she found some of those old retro things, and she used some of those as the basis for designing some of these outfits. But that was a lot of fun, like going through and picking out the colors and trying to figure out which outfit was going to be right for which scene. And then you just put them on Christina, and it's just like she looks like she just stepped right out of the period. Because Christina has this kind of classic look about her that is even kind of similar to me to like a silent movie star. like Clara Bow or something, like with her big eyes, where the camera just loves her. But yeah, the costumes were it turned out pretty amazing. So I'm glad that people are responding to that.
Yeah, I don't think I think it's like impossible to take a bad picture of her. She has these big eyes. I mean, Christina Ricci almost looks like an anime character. She's so like, she just has this face that, the camera loves her. Let's just say that. Solomon Jordan asks, I'm not sure how much longer you can stay. I know we talked about 20 minutes, but if you could stick around for a few more questions and we'll wrap it up.
Sure.
Solomon Thornton asks, what is your process for making a horror film?
Well, I think at the beginning, I think it's like any film, which is trying to get like the hold of like the emotional core of it. Like, what is it about from like the character standpoint? And then like once that is in place, then like how to use the horror to like torture the characters as much as possible. These characters that hopefully the audience loves, and then the horror comes in, and you always want as many obstacles as possible for your characters to overcome. And then the horror sequences, like the suspense sequences, that's always kind of daunting to me. But I think it's always like about trying to plan them out as much as possible. Like going back to like, the master of suspense, like Hitchcock, where everything was just like, he would really plan out the suspense sequences, and trying to get those each beat right. And that's like the tough thing on a low budget, because suspense sequences, a lot of it is, getting the proper, all these different angles that you can kind of put together. So it's really just trying to, and people have seen so many horror movies now. People are so used to all the different like tricks and cliches. So also trying to, use some of those, but then kind of subvert them, hopefully, and have, surprise the audience, use their knowledge of what they expect against them sometimes. But it's really tough. And yeah, I really admire filmmakers who are able to create like suspense sequences, and I'm always studying them. Usually just by watching sequences without the sound, and then really trying to figure out like how they piece this stuff together. And then there's a lot to learn from doing that. I do that all the time.
Well, speaking of sound, Oteo asks, what was it like to do the music? A great score really makes a horror movie, adds atmosphere.
Yeah, the score, I'm really happy with both the score and the 50 songs I was able to get in the movie, which I didn't think was going to happen until the last minute. We finally were able to afford it. But the composer I've worked with before, Tim Ritelli, he's got a great band called Caliphone, that's totally different than this kind of like beautiful like horror movie music that he created for us. And again, we talked about fairy tale kind of stuff, because a lot of the music is like really beautiful, and really kind of like hard on your sleeve, emotional kind of stuff for this like mother son stuff. And so like one thing, like in my writing, like an early thing, like that some piece of advice someone told me was that like helped me, because I would always like try to be subtle, was not to be afraid to be cheesy. Just not to be afraid to like go for it, go for like big emotions. And Tim is like kind of usually like a pretty subtle musician. So in this one, he really just kind of went for it and took some big emotional swings. And I think it really turned out like really lush and beautiful. So I'm super happy with that.
Couple more questions, if you don't mind. Fuzi asked, how much is light and color a role in your films? Man, I will say, the poster might be one of my favorite indie film horror posters this year. In fact, we posted it on our Film Threat Instagram just because look how gorgeous. And obviously the poster, is influenced from, the movie, the photography in the movie. Can you tell us a little bit about how light and color played a role?
Yeah. Well, the color, I'm just totally obsessed with color. Like I've always been obsessed with like the primary colors. They're just so visually pleasing to me. And in my earlier movies, I used to be more like kind of like analytical, like assigning like certain meanings or whatever to certain colors. And I've kind of gone away from that, and have just kind of gone more like kind of like what feels right and what like feels like right at an emotional level. And I agree, like the poster, like the color scheme of it is just, you know, so pleasing to me. So we went through, you know, and each kind of room of our main sets had like a different sort of color scheme, and each color scheme, you know, then we would plan out what color Christina's going to be wearing, like what her, you know, her colors are, and how that's going to relate to the colors of the set around her, and what specific feeling that's going to give. And each one, like her bedroom, for instance, is this kind of like warm pink cocoon, like her one kind of safe place. And then you put her in like these, like this like nice yellow sweater that pops a little bit as a contrast against the pink, and it just all kind of worked. And then the light, you know, it's had a great cinematographer, Senda Bonet, on this, and you know, we played a lot with you know, with haze, like diffusing the atmosphere in the room to get like a kind of a nice, soft, like pleasing look, and that kind of softens the light. And then, you know, just playing with the contrast of like, you know, kind of bright, cheerful colors with dark, heavy material was fun to do also. And then like the lighting and the underwater stuff was kind of like just gritty. So yeah, like that's, you know, really it's there's so much with light and color to play with. And yeah, like luckily I had just great collaborators that were able to help, you know, bring all that to life.
Some more comments here. Yes, very hard to surprise audiences nowadays, says the Chicago Box. Daniel says, Chris sounds like the type of director that made movies 50 years ago. Chicago Box says, I'll be giving this a watch. And VDR asks a quick question. After surviving this, will you ever do a period piece again?
I hope so, yeah, because making anything is a challenge. And then just the period piece, I felt like I understood like why, you know, a lot of directors make them so much, because it's just, yeah, like I said, just getting outside modern day is kind of a relief. And it kind of feels like there's an aspect to it, you know, because there's always that when you make a movie and you bring all these people together, it's kind of like putting on a play or something. And then when it's a period piece, it just kind of heightens that more, and everyone kind of comes together. It just kind of brings people together. And by people, I mean the crew that's making the movie together, in even more so than I've found than making a modern day thing. So yeah. So hopefully, it'd be nice to have a little bit more money to do it next time, though.
I feel like money is. I mean, common sense would say money is the key to making a good period piece. Is that true, or are there ways to do a period piece on a budget, so to speak?
Well, for one thing, I think it depends on the period. We were a little bit lucky with the 50s is a fairly popular period as far as like the prop houses and whatnot in Los Angeles. You know, there's like vast like Raiders of the Lost Ark sort of warehouses full of like archival material specifically for this period. And it feels like, you know, the Mad Men running for a long time, really everyone had to stock up, you know, on all their stuff. And also because in California, classic car collectors is like a big thing. You know, the weather is very conducive to cars staying in good shape. And those people like to show off their cars. So it's, you know, they don't need a lot of money for those 50 cars. We paid very little for these gorgeous automobiles that we have in the movie. And that's just because the guys that own them are proud of them, you know, and want them to be driven by Christina Ricci in a beautiful movie, you know, they'll live on forever. So I think for part of it is just depending on the period, but then there are certain, you know, you do have to spend money if you actually are going to create sets that are believable. You know, like in the house, just, you know, getting the right furniture and the right like linoleum flooring for the kitchen. That was like a big thing. Our production designer really kind of nailed that. And then just like these cool old refrigerators and everything. So definitely, it was under budgeted at first, and our production designer kind of like methodically broke down like how this had to work. You know, there is like a bare minimum that you have to spend. We probably spent like the bare minimum, but pulled it off.
It looks good. Oteo asks, awesome. Sounds great. I'm going to watch this movie tonight.
Nice.
Lee Kindler will definitely check this out. Thanks for putting it on my radar. And question here, where will Monstrous be available to watch and when will it be out on physical media? Says Cavatino Cavalryman Shea. It's out now, right? On video on demand. Is that right?
Yeah. All the usual suspects, like iTunes. I don't even know if it's called iTunes anymore, but Amazon, all, in DirecTV, all wherever you like rent video on demand. And then there actually is a Blu-ray release coming out in July. And I imagine also probably around that time, it'll probably go to a streamer as well for people who wait for those. I don't know which one, but I think that would probably be the timing for that.
Great. Well, Chris Sivertson, thank you so much for joining us on the Film Threat Livecast. Our chat loves you, and they're happy to have discovered the movie. And congrats again, and thanks for the shout out for my book at the beginning. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, thanks for writing it. It was seriously a huge help to me.
That's
and thanks
great.
for having me. It's this was awesome.
Yeah, cool. And I hope your next film come back. Don't forget us.
I won't. Okay.
All right. Take care, Chris. Have a great day.
All right.
Later.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
You too.
He was great. That was great. How awesome. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And let's go to our chat now. We have another director today joining us. Let's see. We've got the director of Sharkbait, which is another film that's actually opening today in theaters. Sharkbait is coming out, and I can't wait to talk about that. So there you go. Let's go to the chat, Alan. Chat questions here from people chatting live. Nice, great interview, says Shelby AC. Piers Bronson says, thanks, great guest. Michael Seagraff, wonderful, brilliant, wonderful gets this Akanika. Yeah, we just, part of like what I'm trying to do, I feel like you're getting it now, right? You're getting it. Like what we're trying to do is I want to bring the directors of small indie movies and other movies too. If we can get people, I want to bring them here. I want to talk to them, and I want you to have a chance to talk to them. Ask questions, and it's an opportunity to discover something besides Firestarter, which opens today, or Doctor Strange. I mean, we do get kind of inundated with these movies, and these, mainstream Hollywood movies kind of, suck all the life out. And I think what you need to do is, and this is something I always did, like going to the video store when video stores existed, was I look at the bottom shelf. What's on the bottom shelf? Wait, here, I'm going to fix something. Thanks, Gabriel. Good.
There we go.
Gabriel says, Alan on the left side today, show ruined. I fixed it. Josiah Teal.
All right.
The Josiah Teal, who works at Film Threat, by the way. Josiah says, that was awesome. I just want to watch Monstrous and a bunch of 50s horror right now. Yeah, it definitely is. Like, I love when someone like will make like that's the genre, right? And there's some other stuff that happens in the movie I thought that was really, Christina Ricci has problems with her landlord, and those are some really good scenes that I think
they hit too close to home. Is that what it is?
Yeah. This, and Solomon Thorne says, these interviews really helps me understand the mind of a filmmaker and how I can use them in my own stories and films. Yeah, absolutely. Like, this guy talked about, he had a movie at South by Southwest. Chris Sivertson had a movie at South by Southwest in 2006. I think I was there, called The Lost. And he used my book, a book that I wrote about how to get your movie into a film festival. It doesn't tell you anything about trying to make a movie, but like, he worked himself up. He became a hired gun to work on this Christina Ricci movie and direct Monstrous. So it's interesting to kind of get in their heads, because they're just people. Filmmakers are just people. And I want to bridge the gap of this conversation we can have between, the audience and the filmmaker. Let's bring them on and let's talk to them. Right? Because you can sit there in your mind and you can speculate about, well, the filmmakers were thinking this. Well, we don't know what they were thinking. Sometimes you're just thinking like, I got to make a movie in 18 days, which is a crazy schedule. Michael Seagraff says, these indie directors are very interesting and personable, which makes sense when you've got to be both smart and collaborative. Yeah, like it's true. And I think that like you having the chance to ask them questions and talk to them, I mean, just, it's the filmmakers learn from that also. They learn what audiences are thinking about. So please continue to ask like these great questions. Eric K says, I'm glad everybody showed up for the streams. Smash that like. Joe Mama Susan, you love this. Yeah, smash the like. And Mateo asked, this will be my 4th indie based on this channel. Donnie Bar Mitzvah and Win a Trip to Browntown were hilarious. Now Monstrous, some great entertainment so far. Donnie's Bar Mitzvah and Win a Trip to Browntown are both nominees for Award This. Those filmmakers are actually coming to Santa Ana, California. They're going to be there at the event. So if you're able to buy a ticket to Award This, go to awardthis.com. It's going to be an amazing party. I hope you can be a part of it. You can meet a lot of these filmmakers face to face. And the point is this, like, these filmmakers are you, like when you talk to a lot of filmmakers, like I talked to Peyton Reed once, who's the director of Ant-Man. I talked to him at San Diego Comic-Con once. I had a booth. We were selling issues of Film Threat. This is before Ant-Man. And we had a whole conversation, and I've since run into him. He's just a nerd who goes to Comic-Con. James Gunn was a nerd that went to Comic-Con and went to panels and saw filmmakers speak, right? This is an opportunity for us to directly connect with filmmakers, and we're going to keep doing that. And the Chicago Box says, for all your Film Threat needs, go to link. We have a link tree, just link tree, that link tree thing, /Film Threat, and it's all the links that you need. And Daniel says, what Chris Gore is doing for encouraging good movie making is so much more than just pointing out what is bad. Mm-hmm. Daniel, I'll say this. I think it is important to point out what's bad, but you got to balance that with like, that's bad, but here's something else, like RRR. RRR, by the way, it was announced today. RRR trends on social media like almost every other week now, that movie, since we saw it, Alan, a few months ago.
Yeah.
And RRR is going to be available May 20th on video on demand platforms. There is no excuse for you to not see it. But I do want to say, Daniel, that like you need both. You need to be able to criticize, but you also need to be able to say, but what else? Like I can't blackpill on this stuff. I mean, I've blackpilled on Star Wars. I'm like, I just have no, like, I'll get to your question, Daniel. I'll get to these. Just keep starring them, Alan. That helps me out a lot. I really appreciate that. But like the thing is this, I can't just sit there and talk about that stuff is bad. Yeah, I did not like Doctor Strange, and I'll tell you all my problems with it. And if you had a good time, that's okay. I like a diversity of opinion. I think diversity of opinion is something we should encourage more. There's diversity of opinion right now on screen. Alan liked Doctor Strange 2, and I did not.
I thought you were calling me diversity, but
no, diversity of opinion.
Yes, absolutely.
I could care less.
I know. I mean, that's I think the frustration I get watching movie YouTube. It just feels like everyone's just saying the same thing, and stories appeal to us in certain ways and different ways. And, there are really good stories out there. They're just not the multi-million-dollar budgeted, overly done, overproduced CG out there. They're just some really good, simple stories that we need to start embracing again.
Well, Bethel Games says Alan has no favorite. I'm with Bethel Games. Bethel Games there. Bethel Games.
Well, then I liked Top Gun Maverick. So
Tree Rock Creations. I like Doctor Strange as much as I like having a stroke. And then Robot Dudes. Alan, diversity hire since when? No. Alan, look, here's the thing that connects everyone that's at Film Threat. It's like a weird group. We're all super movie nerds who really like what we do. That is the one thing that everybody has in common. And that's pretty much the only requirement for doing stuff at Film Threat. And Gabriel says Alan Versity. And the Chicago Box, thank you, Chicago Box, doing the mod's work. He's doing the mod's work as a mod. Thank you, the Chicago Box. MCU has been diminishing returns in terms of story. I will just say, since Endgame, it's just been sort of a slow decline, with the exception of Spider-Man No Way Home, which I guess is an MCU movie, but it's more Sony. But what can you say? And Spidey Sensei 72 got here late. Did they review Firestarter yet? We did. You missed it. You can watch the replay. That was within the first hour of the show. We're getting at the top of the hour at 11 a.m. We're going to have coming on the show. Very excited. The director of Shark Bait will be here. And we have a special scene to show from Shark Bait. So we have a scene. I want to show, you can watch the trailer to Shark Bait. You can watch the trailer to Monstrous, but I want to start to show clips in the show. We're trying to increase the production value here. Bethel Games says, if Razor Fist is right on this topic, then the superhero movies are done. I actually tend to agree, Bethel Games, with Razor Fist, who I recommend Razor Fist, subscribe to his channel. I just think it's superhero fatigue. I think we've been through the superhero thing of I've got a secret identity. I have superpowers. Let me learn to use the superpowers. Training session. There's a villain. I defeat the villain at the end. That maybe that story has been played out, but
yeah, I don't know that they're done. I think they're still going to appeal to the masses. There's still a huge box office that's going to see it regardless. I think it's, the purists, the comic book fans, the people who are, who have followed this material for a very long time. I think these are the ones who are getting more disappointed than anyone else.
Right. Well, Robot Dudes dropping truth bombs here. I would say Endgame was mostly nonsense, but it was the culmination of everything being built. Now I think the MCU needs to just be self-contained stories. Yeah, I think my frustration with Doctor Strange was that it seemed to require that I watch all the Disney Plus shows, and I'm not going to do that. I didn't watch Loki. I didn't finish WandaVision because once it got away from the sort of weirdness of the TV stuff, which I thought was sort of had elements of David Lynch. I thought was it had a mystery. I didn't really know it was happening. And then once it was kind of revealed, I didn't like the answer. And then it was weird because the fan ideas were better ideas than it ended up being. And then they didn't put Doctor Strange in it. It would have been a great connection if Doctor Strange came in at the end. It would have set up Doctor Strange 2, and they did not do that. And I just think my faith in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is just sort of, I'll certainly go see the movies because I want to talk about them. Having said that, I'm not going to watch the shows.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't think they care about us. I don't think they're, even with Star Wars, they don't care about the true fans, the fans who invested many years investing themselves in the franchise.
Yeah, the sound of one man laughing. Always good to see you here. I love watching Film Threat and The Critical Drinker. They are equally positive and negative, but those panel YouTubes, they're good people, but they are snarky and negative.
Yeah.
I actually am entertained by the negativity, and also not so I have my own opinion on things. I feel very strongly about my own opinion. At the same time, I do like to hear opinions, to just get perspective. But I just feel like if I only live in the space of Star Wars is dead, Marvel is dead, which I believe that to be true. I believe that these franchises are, the Marvel movies are, over a decade, at least with the formal MCU, so to speak. There have been Marvel movies before 10 years ago, folks. Spider-Man 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. There were movies made before that. Blade. People want to forget, but come on. Wesley Snipes better be in the reboot in some form with Mahershala Ali. But I just, I feel like they're just kind of played out, and there's definitely a fatigue. There needs to be I feel like maybe it would have been better to have a reset. But the thing is, I balance it out whenever I see something like Star Wars is a disappointment. Marvel is a disappointment. I'm going to watch an indie movie. I'm going to watch a documentary. Sam and Maddie Make a Zombie Movie, which is a really good documentary about two kids with Down syndrome who love movies that make their own movie. And the filmmakers are going to be at our award show. They're going to be there. I cannot wait. I'm so excited. I really hope that.
Are Sam and Maddie going to be there?
I hope so.
Yeah.
And Gwen Stacy, always good with the bubble gum, giving the finger. Love that photo. If that's actually Gwen Stacy. Marvel is dead in the comic platform as well. Breaks my heart, but I keep buying indies, keep the comics I love alive. Yeah, I that to me is like, I've always been interested, even when I was younger, like as a kid, kind of growing up with pop culture. There was always to me, mainstream culture was John Hughes movies. And I did not like John Hughes movies because, okay, not that I didn't see myself seen on screen. It's pretty much all white kids. But I didn't relate to those kids because they were all rich white kids. And I just didn't connect with them. I didn't, I had a raised by a single mom. That's not particularly unique, but didn't realize I was poor. But I had money because what did I do? I had paper routes from the time I was 9 through the age of 19. And I worked restaurants when I was 14, video store on the weekends when I was 16. I always had jobs so I could buy comic books, Aurora model kits, and whatever. What can I say? But like, even then I would read indie comics, like just a lot of different indie comics. There's
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Adolescent, there were like all sorts of spin-offs from that, but it was always like, okay, there's my indie, my mainstream stuff, right? Mainstream comics, Batman, Superman, whatever, that stuff. Then I would buy like the indie comics as well. Mm-hmm. And also when it came to movies, right? I would see the mainstream movies at the theater. I would go see the John Hughes movies. I'd be sort of annoyed by them. And then I would go to the art house and see those films. There was a movie theater called the Punch and Judy when I was growing up that did retrospectives. And I saw like Pink Flamingos by John Waters in a movie theater, along with Female Trouble. I saw a James Dean retrospective with all the movies that James Dean starred in, of which there are 3. East of Eden, Rebel Without a Cause, and Giant. So they'd show retrospective, small indie movies. It was great. I loved it. So
I mean, yeah. I think on the bright side, there are alternatives, and there are coming alternatives. I think Frank Miller's starting his own publishing thing.
Yeah.
I just saw in my email today, John Lasseter is returning with Skydance Animation, and I think he's going to bring Brad Bird along as well.
Well, I saw the trailer. I don't know if it's released to the public, but I saw an early.
It is released
trailer for the movie called Lucky, which is John Lasseter. It's Skydance, which is the new studio, which is Apple. It's coming out on Apple TV Plus in August. And the trailer is, I don't think we have time to show it right now with our guest showing up in 10 minutes or so. But like the premise behind Lucky is good luck and bad luck is kind of manufactured by these people behind the scenes. And somebody wanders in and kind of breaks the fourth wall and like discovers like, oh, this is where you make luck and good luck and bad luck. And good luck and bad luck are something that doesn't just happen to people. It's created kind of like Monsters, Inc. Kind of like that. Gabriel, comics and jeans. Chris's first purchases with his hard-earned money. No, first of all, I always looked on buying clothes or food as a waste of money because I could have bought comic books or gone to a movie. I would spend my money on going to the movies.
I spent way too much money on comic books growing up.
And what are your thoughts on the new Avatar teaser and the upcoming Disney Avatar franchise attack with parts 2 to 5? Alan, real quick, while you give your thoughts on that, I'm going to run to the bathroom. Okay. Bathroom break. I shouldn't announce it, but tell us your thoughts in a minute or two.
I have not seen the first Avatar. I didn't. We mentioned on the last one. I felt like Avatar was. The reason I didn't see it is I felt like Avatar was kind of an environmental lecture, which was fine. I guess you have to have those, but that's not something I was interested in. And honestly, it became this big monster. Still haven't seen it. Regarding Avatar, I still have not. I'm going to see it just because I have to see it, but I don't have any really compelling drive to see it. And after seeing the trailer, the thing that struck me is that I am not a big fan of the whole design of the Na'vi. It doesn't feel, I don't know, it feels like a cartoon to me. And I'm just not that impressed. And, I think it's what I felt like with Jurassic Park. The first Jurassic Park was amazing. First time we saw dinosaurs, real dinosaurs on the screen, and we interacted with them. And then when the sequels came along, it had been done so many times that was just kind of like been there, done that. And that's the kind of sense I get with Avatar. As much as groundbreaking as the first one was, I'm not sure that I'm getting a sense that it's groundbreaking at all with the sequels. Talk to James Cameron. Yeah, we should do that. Can we get him?
We should. I've interviewed him before. I interviewed him when Avatar came out on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
I interviewed him. I wonder, I could probably find those clips, actually. I think I have the raw clips of it. Can I just talk about something that's completely off topic and weird?
Okay. You don't want to talk about Avatar?
No.
Okay.
We've talked about it before on a live stream.
I know.
We've already discussed it. I think it's going to be a huge hit. I think part 2 is going to be a huge hit. Never count James Cameron out. I think it's a rehash of the original to kind of reset the world, and it's going to show different aspects of Pandora. And then it's going to kick off what's going to be a trilogy sort of the universe in the near future. But so I've talked about it before. I want a John Carpenter movie. Actually, we did not talk about that, Bethel Games. The one good thing about Firestarter was John Carpenter did the music. So, and it was really good. The music was like, oh, it sort of rooted it in that 80s. He just does the score, right? Like, so there you go. It would be great to interview John Carpenter. He's the best kind of old school director, and the last time I actually slept with the light on, because have you ever like seen a horror movie when you were a kid and you had to sleep with the light on because the dark was too scary? The last time I did that was when I saw The Thing in a movie theater. I was 16 years old and I was so freaked out and scared. I slept with the light on when I was 16 after seeing it in the theater when was that? 82. Was it 82? Yeah, there you go. I'd love a John Carpenter interview. Alan's take on Avatar, chef's kiss, says Akanika. But real quick, so I just went to the bathroom.
That's all you're going to say? That's
all I'm going to say. Chef's kiss.
All right.
So real quick, so I just went to the bathroom, and I've talked about before that I have one kidney. I was born that way. Don't feel sorry for me. Whatever. I have to go to the bathroom a little bit more often than most folks. Yes, it's a superpower. But what I do is when I go to the bathroom at a movie theater, I don't use the towels or even the blow dryer. I just wash my hands, go, and then I just do like this with my hair because I'm saving paper towels. And so might I recommend that instead of wastefully taking a couple sheets of paper towel in the bathroom, washing your hands and tossing those away, or using the blow dryer, what you do, because this is the baller move. This is the baller move that you need to use, is you wash those hands, you get them wet, go like that, and you go like that with your hair, and your hands are dry. That's the move. That is the thing to do. So, I'm just throwing that out there. Our guest is going to be showing up here at the top of the hour. Very excited to have on Sharkbait director James Nunn will be joining us very shortly. Super excited to have James here with us today. And we're also going to show a clip from Sharkbait. So get your questions ready for James, but let's go through your chat questions here. Gabriel says, Chris is the guy the X-Men send when there's a building on fire and they have a need for a powerful water stream. Okay, sure. Used web cartridge, gotta bail. Meeting time. Thanks for awesome show, guys. Used web cartridge. Just catch up on the replay. We leave these up. And Deadhouse says that was a weird sidetrack. Yes, but like I'm also like, look, there's a lot of concern about like I use reusable K-cups. You can actually buy them on Amazon. I stopped buying the K-cups because I thought it was just I'm throwing these away. This seems really wasteful. And the coffee is not always that great because I would buy K-cups at TJ Maxx. And when you buy K-cups at TJ Maxx, it's usually really close to the expiration date. I began to notice, which is why TJ Maxx K-cups are so cheap. So I was like, well, what am I doing? So I bought these refillable
K-cup cartridges, and I got like 10 of them, and I fill them up once a week, and then that's my coffee for the week. And also, it's better coffee because it's fresh ground. I load it into this like metal K-cup refillable thing. There's gonna be little weird asides that have nothing to do with movies. Yeah, and Gabriel, man, bad coffee is always a travesty. The consistency of the quality of coffee in K-cups is not there. It's not, it ain't Starbucks, even if it has the branding on it. So to me, I just get the refillable K-cups. I'm not tossing K-cups away. And yeah, Chicago box, this is the way. Absolutely. Yeah.
No, I realize you haven't gotten COVID yet because you have all that antibacterial soap in your hair.
That's right. I've got it in my hair.
You're protected.
Okay. When we're not talking about movies, we're always going to throw out. We're always going to throw this stuff out. RMFX, yes, very excited. Sharkbait, yeah. There's been shark movies. We actually have at Award This. When you see it, we actually have a Best Shark Movie Award, and you're going to see shark movies are like a genre of B film. But this one, Sharkbait, is very different than that. It's a much more serious. It's not a play on the shark movies. It's a bit more serious than that. So,
just real quick, what is Sharkbait about? I did not look this one up.
Oh well, let's talk about Sharkbait for a bit as we wait for James to join us. Let's throw up our banner in lieu of his arrival. Let's get that going so we're prepared. But Sharkbait is about a group of friends. They're on vacation. It's a tropical vacation. They're having fun, and they rent a bunch of those jet scooters. Yeah, this is great. One of them has a problem. One of those jet scooters has a little bit of a problem. They're stuck out in the middle of the water, and bad things happen. Not much more. There's not much more that you need to know. Is that and as one would guess, a shark becomes involved. They're trapped on like the scooter, just sitting there in the middle of the water with no power. It's not working. And yes, people get chomped. It's gruesome. It's also serious. It's not like well, there's some really cheesy, bad shark movies that have come out recently. Just off the top of my head, Noah's Shark, Jurassic Shark Part 2, Shark Exorcist, Ouija Shark. What have I forgotten, Alan?
Oh, those are the ones I remember.
Those are there's so many. This isn't that. I would say that, and this is actually probably more serious than the Meg. I thought the Meg was ridiculous. I did not love the Meg, although I did see it in 4D, and I would recommend seeing it in 4D. But this one is a much more serious, and I really enjoyed it. It's a shark movie that's a horror movie. It's gruesome. It's characters struggling in a very simple situation we could all see ourselves getting in. The vacation's fun until the shark arrives. Sharktopus, come on! There's so many good Sharknado. Of course, the Sharknado, that goes without saying. Yeah. Akanika, Ouija Shark is a movie that actually exists. It's a bunch of kids, and they summon a shark using a Ouija board, and it's a ghost shark that attacks them as a ghost.
Yeah, because they're in the middle of the forest. Yeah, they're in the middle of the forest, so there's no ocean for a shark to be in.
Yeah, there is. But let's get director James Nunn is here joining us today. James, thank you for joining us on the Film Threat podcast. You're live. How's it going, man?
I'm good. Thank you, Chris. How are you? I had no idea this was going to be live. I thought this was like a...
No, it's live.
Wow.
Let's have fun.
Oh, can I swear? What can't I do?
You can swear. Fuck it. You can swear. Go for it.
Oh, you do? Yeah.
Doing great.
Well, we're just fuck it, man. We're diving in.
Dive in. We're just talking about your movie. We're talking about there's been a slew of new shark movies that have come out. Yours is the best of all of them because it takes itself seriously. The effects are great. It's not cheesy. We were going through. Have you heard of some of these movies? Let me just throw out the titles. Oh, I'm Chris Gore, by the way, James. I didn't know if you get to know. This is my colleague, Alan Ing. Alan Ing up there. He's the editor-in-chief of FilmThreat.com.
Alan, nice to meet you. Chris,
Alan,
nice to meet you.
Yeah, Chris. So we're launching right in. But yeah, there's been this slew of shark movies, and none of them are good. Ouija Shark. Have you heard of Ouija Shark?
I missed it.
Okay, Ouija Shark. A bunch of people summon a ghost shark using a Ouija board. It's terrible. Jurassic Shark. There's also part 2.
I kind of wish I made that one.
Noah's Shark.
Go on. What's the pitch on Noah's Shark?
I mean, it's just ridiculous. They use like really bad green screen and like a rubber shark. It's bad. But your movie is serious. Like it's a serious situation we could see ourselves in, bunch of kids on vacation. Hey, let's take these jet skis. Something goes wrong. And one by one, we start to lose people that we've grown to like over, before this situation. So we've got a bunch of questions that we're highlighting in the chat. We'll get to our chat questions, but what led to the place where you sat in the director's chair to make the movie Shark Bait? What led to that moment?
Yeah, sure. Well, thanks for having me on, and thanks for watching the movie. And thanks for all the kind stuff you said about it. I'm so pleased that you interpret it in that way, because that is important to me, that we come across in the tone that you have pictured. So thank you. Essentially, I was very fortunate about 5 or 6 years ago to have done some second unit work and assistant director work on the 47 Meters Down franchise for a friend of mine, Georgia Hannes. And those movies also tonally take themselves very seriously, and they did very well in the market, which was great. And then there was a situation in, I guess it was actually pre-pandemic time. So it's 2019, a producer called Andrew Pendergrass in the UK had been developing a shark script with a writer called Nick Saltrese. And I think, it's difficult to make movies, obviously. And they had the smart idea of going, well, hang on a minute, this guy has done some second unit shark stuff before, and we've got a shark script, and, maybe he'd be interested in doing our script. And which I was, because I thought there was something unique to it, and, a bit different from the other stuff in the market. And also, I wanted to have an opportunity to make my own shark movie, since I'd had so much fun doing some second unit on the other two. And that's kind of how it was born.
That's great. We have a lot of questions. First of all, a lot of love in the chat. People want to see a good shark horror movie thriller. But before we do that, would you mind if we watched a scene from your movie? Do it. Yeah. Like, I have a scene from the film, and let me share it here. It's was just sent to us. So I want people to be able to see this scene. So let's check it out right now.
Bloody hell! He's gone!
He's taking both of you! You have to let go!
Wow.
Dude, that was awesome. Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's like I was trying to explain before you came on, that this is serious. This isn't some of these ridiculous shark movies that have come out recently. So would you mind going to some questions from our chat? You're live talking to over 100 people now on
wow.
YouTube. So
yeah, of course. No, thanks for sharing the clip. Thanks. I'm glad it resonated with you. I'm trying to read your comments, which is awesome. Actually, I've never actually done one of these where there's like live things happening. It's amazing.
Oh, this is great. Yeah, no, you're getting a lot of love in the chat. So here we go. Oteo says, first, I have heard of Shark Bait. I love shark movies, especially serious ones. Great. Fuck it, we'll do it live, says Robot Dues. Now, James, did you use trained sharks? Just kidding. And here's a question from Solomon Thornton. Have you ever had a shark experience?
Oh my God. Short answer is no, but I have been in the water and been scared like shit myself many times in the like, especially on the recce. So I'll tell you the story for the recce from Shark Bait, and I'm trying to look cool in front of all the producers and the location guys, and I built myself into this, like I'd read the script multiple times. I've been storyboarding shark stuff. I've been researching sharks, like how they attack from below and how you don't see them and how they hang on the edge of periphery. Like you know, you just, if you see it, it's kind of too late. So I'm recceing the water in Malta. I'm trying to work out the distance of like what's the visibility, like 10 meters, 20 meters, what can I see? And no one, I'm just on this early recce and I'm the one who gets it. No one else even brought their swimming shorts. So I've got in the water on my own and this boat's just like slowly getting further and further away from me. And I've got my GoPro and I'm just like trying to see, like, can I see the boat? And then I realize what I'm doing and I'm like, I'm looking down and it's like, it's the scariest thing ever when all you've got in your brain for like half a year is sharks. And then you're just looking around this empty blue where you can't see anything. And and I'm just, all of a sudden I'm like starting to shit myself. Like, oh no, like I've seen the reef. This is how it didn't work out very well for them. So I'm like, oh God. So I'm trying to remain cool and like, I'm in control. I'm like, yeah, guys, I can, bring the boat back now. It's fine. And it's like, it's taking ages for this boat to come back. Like, it was like the scene in like Austin Powers with like the boat going super slow to get back. And I'm just sitting there like, oh God, I hope they like don't like English guys, so yeah, that's as close as it got to a real shot.
Well, it's my personal nightmare. I mean, after seeing Jaws, I mean, that like in your head when you're at the beach, it's kind of just ever present. VDR shark bait, more like Oscar bait. Am I right? Eric K says,
whoever that was, you are right.
Yeah, I loved all the 47 meters down.
Thank you, Eric. They weren't my movies, but I was pleased to be part of them.
Michael Seeger says, I'm going to see this film. I love these types of films. The Chicago Box says, my sister loves those movies. Oteo asks, are the shark effects practical or CGI or a combination?
Yeah, so it was funny because obviously the first question anyone asks is, how did you train the great whites? And you're like, oh my God. You can't even keep a great white in captivity, as Jaws 3 told us. So basically, yeah, it's all VFX shark. We did have a practical head and we did have a practical fin. But the problem was, in many ways, it's almost like nobody's learned from Steven Spielberg, where these things don't actually really work. So you go in with all this like full optimism, like, yeah, no, the shark head's going to be great, and we're going to put someone in the mouth, and we're going to like drive it through the water, and then you put this shark head in, and it just bobs up and down like a cork, and you're like, great, that was money well spent. So no, to tell you the truth, we do have like a combination of, because the thing you want to do is use eye lines and things so that all the actors are reacting on the same page. And like you said in your opening statement, like I really did try to make a shark movie with like a serious tone. Like it's not supposed to be silly, and I'm coming across silly on this chat, but like it is supposed to be a serious movie. And yeah, so like having these prop elements is actually great for performance because all of the actors can unanimously have the same eye line, and they can actually kind of get into it. But equally, you're really just operating with like a toy fin that's very lightweight, just to kind of act as an eye line. So there are a few shots in the movie where we employed a realistic practical fin, but for the most part, the shark is, I'd say, 90-95% CGI.
More comments here. Solomon Thornton says, never been this scared of a shark scene like this since Jaws. And how do I watch this, says Oteo? Is the movie, it's out in theaters today and on demand?
Yeah, so it's theaters, US. I don't know all of the theaters. I just had a tweet from someone who's going to watch it at like a drive-through in New York, which is really exciting to me. I think this is like perfect drive-through Friday the 13th movie. But then it's also on Vudu and Tubi, and I actually don't know all the cinemas. I'm very sorry, but yes, Google your local theater, and hopefully it's playing. You know, go and see it and give it 5 stars. And if you didn't like it, then just forget me, forget everything. You didn't see it. Go and have a pizza, and yeah.
There you go. Well, drive-in is probably one of the best places to see this. That would be great. Itachi Uchuha says, yeah, always the Swiss watch. Michael Seeger says, how about The Shallows? Blake Lively in a bikini for 90 minutes. Yowza. B-Roll says, people really love this scene. That looks intense. Lee Kindler, love a genuinely good shark movie. Will see this. Itachi also adds, I like his enthusiasm. Oh. David L says, just heard about movie today. We'll definitely be watching it soon. And then Michael Seagriff has a story here. I was near a dolphin breaching. Thought it was a shark. Shit my swimsuit. Wow. And then Flash Phoenix has a question for you. How hard was it? Because this is the thing that I was thinking watching the movie. Nearly most of the movie, once you get to the water, the whole movie's on the water. Correct. And how hard was it? Because that's something that like Steven Spielberg talked about. Once you get to the water, you're on the water, like shooting every day. How hard was it to consistently shoot on the water?
Yeah, great question. And look, I think probably having that experience on the 47 meters down movies was super beneficial, because I wasn't going into this completely cold, and I had some tricks on my sleeve with how to shoot water, how to shoot in the tank. My prior career before directing movies was actually as a first assistant director. So I come from a very technical background of filmmaking, and I pick up that kind of stuff very quickly and have an understanding of how to run a crew in these kind of technical environments. My last movie before this was called One Shot, which is like a one-shot action movie, which is equally very technically difficult to do. So I seem to choose these extremely difficult technical setups. And I think it's just a way of like pushing technology, pushing the crew, trying to like be a little bit above the sum of its parts. And as you sort of hopefully astutely correctly pointed out, you know, we're trying to be more elevated than Psycho Shark or Jurassic Shark or whatever, and actually get out on the water and like push it in the same way that Jaws did. But it's difficult shooting on the ocean, 100%. It's beautiful shooting on the ocean. It looks so gorgeous and money, and if you can do it, do it. We shot the movie in Malta, which has an extremely good reputation as a film destination to shoot. You know, they shot Gladiator there and Popeye in the 50s, so they shoot a lot of movies over there. And I think actually the nature of the island makes it extremely conducive to water filming, because the biggest thing you suffer from in the ocean is the wind, obviously, and the waves. So if you're constantly working off of one coast, like they did with Jaws at Martha's Vineyard, you're constantly being battered by the Atlantic, right? So you can only go out on days and shoot when the waves aren't coming into that side of America. Whereas with Malta, we stationed ourselves at the top of the island, and knowing ahead, like that morning, which side the weather would hit, we would either go to the left side of the island or the right side of the island, and then we would act in the lieu of, you know, the island, so we wouldn't have the same wind difficulties, which means that generally speaking, providing there wasn't like a hurricane inbound, we were able to shoot every single day. And then it became a technical question of like, we built a special rig that we designed to hold the jet ski off the back of the mothership, as we called it. And then because we're a low budget movie, can't necessarily light the movie, but we found a way where we were all tethered together to kind of like, because basically if the ship is here and the jet ski's here and you're battling the waves, everyone's always doing this. And it's the same if you put a lighting stand, it's doing this. So you've got 3 elements doing this all the time. So what we did is we found a way to like be one unit on the ocean. So we're all moving together. And then knew I wanted to backlight the movie. My brilliant DP, Ben Molden, was like very technical, nutcase genius, amazing guy. And he was just like, right, well, what we'll do is we'll just turn the boat to follow the backlight of the sun, and then we'll bounce board as a front light, because you can't light on the ocean. And I'm giving away all the secrets. Nobody out there,
this is great.
Yeah.
Minority Report, Pennu, bang. Men in Black.
Better not see more ocean films coming out.
Yeah. You're going to see a lot of good-looking ocean movies because I'm telling you all how to do it. That's kind of what we did. And Malta was brilliant, and we had a great technical crew over there and a great marine crew, and everybody facilitated this. And it was a real camaraderie and a fun, really fun shoot.
So in that opening scene that we just saw, how large is the crew that you have at that point?
So we're a large crew, but we're a very intimate crew, and I like it. I come from a world of like indie filmmaking, really, like low budget stuff. Try to keep the crew between 30 and 50 people, and that's kind of probably I can't say the exact number we had, but I imagine it's probably about 35 members of crew on this mothership. And of course, we're shooting during COVID, which was ridiculous because we're all wearing masks in the middle of the ocean, living in a bubble. If there's winds, you're not catching anything, but equally, you have to satisfy all the insurance and everything and be safe and whatnot. So we're all just standing there getting these mask tan lines. And but it was a fun time. But yeah, there's about 35 to 50 members of crew, something like that.
Yeah, it's amazing. First of all, there's a lot of aspiring filmmakers in our chat who come to watch us every week. So you giving away that secret, I never would have thought of that. You just have them on an equal plane, then the bounce up and down is gonna. I don't know. That's a great secret. So I appreciate you giving that away.
There's more to it than that. I won't go into what happened to the rig, but the rig we built ended up just after week one. Shooting on the ocean is exactly as Spielberg told you it would be, a nightmare. And, half of the rig was just like pulled off by a speedboat. And then you've got the, they painted it blue so that it would disappear under the water. But then why would they use underwater paint? Who knows? So then after week one, all the tethers have turned this rig like shiny silver. But, it's just all these filmmaking secrets. But it's all problem solving and it was amazing.
Other questions here. Michael Seeger says, I'll watch the shit out of this movie. And then Classic Phoenix, Austin Powers reference. This guy is great.
I can do you some Ace Ventura, whatever you want.
Yeah, so the sequel will have lasers on the sharks.
Yeah. Shelby AC,
right?
I think referencing the scene that we saw, which is not at the beginning, it's more about a third of the way into the movie or so. Who boy, that is my nightmare. Yeah, that was, the whole, this girl is connected to him as he's being dragged away, like sort of an unsuspecting victim is just, it's horrific. There's some moments of levity in the movie between the characters, but the situation is deadly serious. So can you talk about some of the tone of this? Because as we mentioned before, there's a lot of shark movies that come out. And so I was skeptical. I love the poster, by the way. Your movie poster is awesome.
Which one do you like? Because there's the international one with a jet ski and a shark, or there's
the girl in the bikini.
The girl in the bikini, the key art. Yeah.
It's a bit megalodon. The shark's a little big in that poster, but it gets your attention. So.
Yeah, we even posted it on our Film Threat Instagram just because we feature like cool indie film posters. We put it on there before we arranged this, but so tell me about the tone, like balancing the tone, because we've seen all these other shark movies I mentioned. None of them are good. This is the first good shark movie I've seen in, God, a really long time, since the Blake Lively movie. But can you talk about like how you maintain that tone? This isn't jokey or funny.
Yeah, for sure. So, look, the tone always starts at the script, right? And we had a lovely scriptwriter called Nick Sivertson, who does a lot of drama stuff first and foremost, and has done some kind of very violent, serious stuff as well. And I think certainly me as a filmmaker, realism and tone and that kind of like realistic aspect is something I like to put into movies. I suppose kind of, not trying to compare myself to Michael Mann in any way, but like in terms of like a serious tone movie is my taste for sure. Like Silence of the Lambs would be one of my favorite. A lot of people call it a horror movie. I'd call it a thriller movie, but like that kind of movie is my kind of movie. So combined with Nick's words and my aesthetic preferred taste. We kind of went into it with this idea of realism and hopefully what we could do to be as realistic as possible with the shark and the genre. And funny enough, the watch sequence, you know, the hair caught in the watch and the drag, was Nick's favorite. He was so proud of that death because he really felt like he'd never seen that death in a shark movie before. Maybe he hasn't watched enough shark movies, or maybe he hasn't seen that death before. I certainly hadn't seen that death before, and it was a fun sequence to shoot for sure. But I would say that, yeah, overall tonally, the other thing was with the movie is like me and the producers and everyone involved didn't want to make a shit shark movie. You know, we wanted it to be a good movie. And I think the script worked in such a way that if you took the shark out of it, there was still a survival thriller on the ocean. So foremost, like, if we got to the very final stages of VFX and it was like, you know what, they're not really holding up, or like, we just need to change what this movie is a bit, there was always this avenue that we could still make this survival thriller with a little bit of shark presence and probably get away with it, and it wouldn't be like very schlocky. So the fact that we actually managed to accomplish, you know, a decent looking shark, it was like the icing on the cake, because it was like, right, well, we've actually got this serious tone shark, you know, survival thriller, and now we've also got this fun shark movie. So it's kind of this hybrid of both, really, where we've really tried to in the edit, you know, work the drama, the character drama, but then also provide horror-y, jumpy beats that one would expect in this kind of movie. So hopefully that answers it.
And I mean, it's like more than just a survival movie with the shark. It's a survival movie of you're stuck and trapped on the water and need to be, there's more going on. I know you have to leave because you have other interviews to do today, but if we could just, there's two questions in the chat that are basically the same. Sure. If you wouldn't mind addressing them. David L. asks, filming on the water must be somewhat dangerous. Any close calls you can share? And Shelby AC, what were some of the challenges of working on the water? Like, can you talk about that a little bit? And then I know you gotta take off. So last question.
Yeah. No worries, and it's been an absolute pleasure and privilege to be on. I'd sit on this all day. It's amazing. Please reach out and have me back. I mean, this has been so fun. So yeah, no, fortunately, touch wood, we didn't have any close calls on the water. I think as it, you know, kind of to start, it's kind of repeating myself slightly, but like coming from a first assistant director background, where you are very in charge of safety on set, and you come at everything from a very, let's work out in pre-production exactly how we're going to try and do this stuff. You know, you come very prepared on game day, as it were. And so touch wood, we were very prepared. And if it was ever kind of super dangerous, we wouldn't have done it. If there's any other anecdotes to talk about on the water, I mean, the shark's head didn't necessarily work. The fin was difficult to operate. We were shooting in the fall, so it was the sea was dropping about 2 degrees every week, and by the end of it, it was November, and the actors were very cold. And when you're cold, and then you get on a jet ski and it's windy, you're more cold. So it was a really, you know, I should throw some love to the actors on this as well, because they really rose to the challenge and took it seriously. And we honestly couldn't have made this movie with a cast that weren't willing to get stuck in and work hard and like be those guys and girls, and they were. And Holly is standout in the movie. She's the kind of lead girl, and you know, I hope they all have huge careers ahead of them.
Well, I know you got to run, but you're getting all this love in the chat. I know a lot of people will be able to see this interview on the replay of our live stream. James Nunn, nice. Thanks for coming to. Everybody's saying you got to come back. You got to come back. Great interview. So
yeah, no,
awesome.
reach out on Twitter, DM me or something, and I'd love to come back.
Where can people find you on Twitter? Where can people find you on Twitter?
I'm Mr. James Nunn, all one word. Mr. James Nunn, Nunn. It's like gun, but with an N. Normally, people like to remind me of that. So just I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter, Mr. James Nunn.
Well, the chat loves you. They want you back. So thanks again. They're calling you Sir James.
Salute to you. Thanks for coming by. And the movie's out today, so you can see it. See it in the drive-in, see it at the movie theater, and see it on video on demand. James, thanks for being on the Film Threat podcast. Love it. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Alan. Thank you. Have a great day, guys.
Awesome.
Lovely weekend.
Later. Bye.
How do I?
Bye. That was great. Oh my God, what a great guy. That was awesome.
I want to make a shark movie now.
Yes, well, I mean, what I really loved about this was that it took itself seriously. Every shark film that's kind of come our way recently has been stupid. There's a movie called Exorcist Shark. I mean, all of them are just kind of ridiculous, and I think you could tell from that one scene this takes itself very seriously. But also, I mean, there's moments of levity, like with the characters, but it's a serious, scary shark movie. Like those movies where you're like trapped in the middle of the water, like that's my freaking nightmare. It's not just sharks, but you're like stuck. So they're stuck on this jet ski. That's like the first problem. It's like, okay, that's a problem unto itself. Then you have to deal with a shark in the midst of that. Yeah, pretty awful. We're going to wrap things up today, but I got to say thank you to everybody. Thank you to the Chicago Box for moderating. Thank you for the mods, and thank you to the Chicago Box. Thank you to Flaccid Phoenix, who does our thumbnails now. Flaccid Phoenix, part of the growing team here. We appreciate you. And one last thing I want to show, which I promised when we would pass 40,000. When we pass 40,000, I have a special video that we're going to show. Wait, where is it?
Well, we showed it on Wednesday.
We showed it Wednesday. Should we show it again?
Sure.
We're going to show it's a 30-second video that I promised to show after we pass 40,000. We're 40,100 and climbing. We want to get to 100,000. And I promised I would show this video. So before we take off today, it's 28 seconds. And I'll just set it up that Alan on his Instagram, if you follow Alan on Instagram, it's Film Threat Alan on Instagram. He always makes the same expression. So Alan will be somewhere and he has like this goofy face. And he sort of is just like, it's like wherever he is, and he just has a goofy face. So I cut out the goofy face and I just put his face behind a bunch of weird photos. So let's just watch the video. We don't need a big build-up. Yes, it's ridiculous, but we used to, because Alan, every time Alan would do that, we would just call it Alaning. That's what Alan does. He does an Alaning. So we cut it out and just like, we started like Film Threat on the Film Threat. We have a chat thing that we use. We started just making these photos of Alan for our own amusement. We said, one day we're going to show it to Alan. So there you go.
I mean, I've seen them already, but yeah.
Well, what do you think of the Alaning?
Yeah, you know, not like I've heard that one before. There's also an amino acid called alanine.
Oh, there you go. Well, I want to say thank you to everybody. Follow us on everything. We are Film Threat on everything. I am that Chris Gore on everything. Alan, where could people find you? I am
Film Threat Alan on Instagram, and I am My Pal Al on Twitter and on Truth Social. I finally got my account activated. So.
Oh, there you go. All right, and a very special message before we leave.
Humans, why are you not reading Film Threat magazine? You filthy humans, you should know your place, and your place is to be reading this magazine. Yes?
Listen to Caesar, and you should read filmthreat.com. Watch us every week. Wednesday nights, we do our special show, Hollywood on the Rocks. And on Friday mornings, 9 a.m., our normal live stream where we talk about, well, whatever movies opening in theaters. We'll discuss news, and we will bring you independent film directors like James Nunn and Chris Sivertson. So join us for this. It's a conversation we're going to continue to have, and we appreciate all of your support. And Alan, take us out.
Let's get out of here.